School, I was looking for, what to do because I know I'm talented. People say I'm talented, but I had Inspector Perry, but I just wanted to do something different, something people haven't done before. So I started this Agbero character. When I started it, my first skit was all about Jesus. I was asked in my first skit that if Jesus should come to Mushin, what will I do? So that was how the skits, got recognized everywhere. And I thank God for today that I've been able to change my story, change my family's story.
At the beginning stages of my career, living in Atlanta, just being someone that just loved the art of music, wanted to write songs for people. I remember going to different rooms and meeting different producers and not actually given a chance to go into actual studio rooms. I would hang out in like the couch living areas outside, right? Hoping that somebody notices me, hoping that I can get someone's attention to play them something I've recorded in the past, to get a chance to get in the room. This happened like many years, but one thing for me was I never stopped. I remember an incident, a guy named Kevin Shine in Atlanta, just saw me sitting on the couch. He was like, yo, bro, what do you do? I'm a singer, songwriter. He's like, let me hear what you do, right? I played him what I had at the moment. This was after many months of going back and forth to the same studio. This was a place where all the big stars come. Playing him one of the songs I had, it was pretty decent, it was okay. But he heard something in me that made him introduce me to somebody else, right? I met another amazing producer that did a lot of big records for Case. This guy, his name is Kenneth Smooth. He produced Touch Me, Tease Me by Case, old record. A lot of R. Kelly records back in the days, veteran producer. From that I met somebody else, I met someone else, right? I think this life is a journey. You can't doubt yourself at the beginning stages. Nobody sees your vision, right, except you.
This was probably 2008, and I had the opportunity to work with one of the biggest artists at that time. I'm not going to mention names for obvious reasons. So we made a song on his album, and I thought, this was going to be a great look for me. And I officially started producing 2007, so this was a year after, and he was the second biggest artist I was working with at that time, so it was big deal for me. And we made a song. The song was a vibe. I was looking forward, to the album and everything. And album came out, songs on the album. Then I was excited, got the CD, went home, played the song, and the song was reproduced by a different producer. I was so heartbroken because I've been telling all my friends that, I produced this song on the album, I produced this song on the project, and people were already congratulating me. Then I heard it was a different beat by another popular producer, that was obviously way popular than I was at that time. So, I was obviously heartbroken, and a friend of mine asked this artist why he did that. And in his words, he said, "Share me to Kojaye," which means my work has passed that level that I was probably too not relevant enough, to work with at that point. Anyway, today I'm SARS, and it's not here today. So keep moving, believe in yourself, you'll get there.
This is Plus TV Africa, where big stories live. Welcome to Tea Time, where we'll bring you the biggest entertainment stories and definitely interesting personalities in the world of entertainment. My name is Elsie Godwin, and I've got my co-anchors with me, Ife Omai and Ife Oluwa Oshunke.
It's good, it's good.
How you doing?
Not bad, you?
Good. How was your weekend?
Restful, amazing,
Yes.
sweet.
Oh, wow. What did you get up to, Ife?
A lot.
Like?
Sleep.
A lot of sleep.
Yeah.
What else?
Sleep, like
He was
restful.
restful.
When you've not had sleep for so long, and then you get to have hours and hours,
Just not doing anything.
just not doing it. You just wake up, you sleep, you wake up, you eat, you sleep, you wake up, you eat, you
Nice
earth and
life.
sleep.
Wowzy. I thought you said you were celibate.
I broke that this weekend.
Is that why you're kind of calm and relaxed and rested? Please don't go celebrate again, I beg you. In God's name.
All right, so but I'm good now. I'm good now. But
You just told people on national TV that
that what?
okay. You know.
That what?
So
I
let's
what?
talk about your idol. Moving on real quick. Wizkid has become the first Nigerian singer to win an NAACP Image Award following the success of his collaboration with American award-winning singer Beyonce for the track Brown Skin Girl. Wizkid and Beyonce won the award for the Outstanding Duo Group of Collaboration at the 2020 edition. The NAACP Image Award is an annual awards ceremony presented by the US-based National Association for the Advancement of Colored People to honor outstanding performances in film, television, music, and literature.
Of course.
Big shout out to Wizkid on this one, but none of Wizkid's achievement surprises me anymore because I know he's just a legend like that, and
That's how Star do.
yeah, that's how Star do, and he's just bound to be winning. You know, a lot of people have been like, Wizkid is not doing so much. He will just post picture. We don't see him anymore. He's not doing anything. Like that, even the Chris Brown used to chill. He used to be chilling. That we don't see Wizkid doing anything anymore. And I'm like, fam, you don't even know what this guy is doing in the background. Like this guy is doing a lot right now. He's into fashion. He's into a lot of stuff right now. So you can't put Wizkid in anybody's space at this moment. So this doesn't come as a surprise. But some people will still say that it's not his award anyway. It's Beyonce. But I like the concept of this award, which is the NAACP, because it's the advancement of colored people. So yeah, and for Wizkid, for someone like Wizkid to be in this category just shows that, look, colored people is not just about the African Americans anymore. It's now cut across Africa as well. We're beginning to get that recognition. And it's a beautiful thing. And big shout out to Beyonce as well. Congratulations to her. She's also a winner. So
This topic was just for you to gloat. You wanted to add to the joy you had over the weekend, and I can see you're having it.
Wizkid fan.
So that was the reason we took it from this angle. However, from the award, I think I'm more excited about Rihanna's speech. There was an attitude that came with that powerful speech, and you're wondering, she looked like she was just rapping or having fun, but then she was giving you punchlines, and it was just so interesting to see. And I think her award was one of the biggest for the night. That's the prestigious award for her philanthropic side and all that she's been doing. So congratulations to everyone who won. Of course, I don't know if anyone would say Wizkid is not part of that award, because it's clearly stated that it's for the collaboration. So it's a Wizkid as much as it's a Beyonce award. So congratulations to Wizkid. I'm glad the fair is happy, and I hope this keeps him in this mood all through the week.
you never know.
I do like that it's also Brown Skin Girl. It's a very positive, powerful message. We were talking about bitching the other day, and if this doesn't emphasize our point on the last show, then I don't know what else would. If Beyonce can tell you that you're popping, you're popping. Like, you can't argue with anyone.
Melanin.
So it's really cool to see that. It is about, he's trending on Beyonce's success, but I still don't think you can take it away from him that he still killed that collaboration. I mean, she didn't only sing with Wizkid, she sang with a lot of other people, and it's not a competition or whatever, but it's still it stood out. So I'm happy for him. I do somehow feel like Wizkid hasn't really been giving me that much like he used to before, but I also think that it's just maybe he's just evolving in his career. I think when you get to a certain point and you have gotten all the awards and all, you kind of have to evolve into another, because like a living legend sort of. I'm just going to tread carefully with that word, but he has to transcend into a higher place. So let's see what he has in store for us.
Okay, moving on to the next story. Diddy revealed he has to undergo surgery to fix his quadriceps. Sharing the news on Instagram, he said, "At the end of the day, this is God's work to slow me down and take better care of body, and eat right and just stop treating my body like a machine." He went on to say, he was forced to cancel his appearance at a party on the 21st night of February after he was left requiring the surgery. So definitely we're wishing him well, and the successful surgery, successful recovery. And I like that he's always finding inspiration in whatever situation he finds himself. So I can't wait to say congratulations to him when he comes back to post. Oh, I'm better. Yeah.
Now, apart from even coming back to post, I want a lot of artists to take cue from this, because everybody's always working like your body is a machine, like you're not supposed to take any break. You know, a lot of people have shown concern about Burna Boy's health because it's always from one show to another, like since December last year, since late last year, Burna Boy has been in shows back to back. And people are wondering, like, how do you even get any rest? They see you in Europe now, they see you in America next, they see you in the UK, they see you in Nigeria, so they're like, people are beginning to get really worried. And I think a lot of artists should take a cue from this, that look, of every situation, there's a blessing. Yes, it could be all about the money. The money is really important. We all know that. But at the end of the day, your health is also equally important. So every chance. So I like what Diddy said, that this is just a message from God to slow me down, stop treating my body like it's a machine. So this is somebody that is even grateful about the bad thing that happened to him. That look, this is a chance for me to rest and slow down. So you don't have to be sick, or you don't have to undergo a surgery for you to take time off. Yes, the money is important, the recognition is important, the awards are important. But when you pass on today, trust me, you would only be a legacy, and we would only remember you for the works you've done. But why don't you want to leave to reap the fruits of your labor? So I think every artist, everybody putting in the work, we appreciate your work. You know, we know you're doing it for us, your fans, but we also care about your health. So from time to time, take some time off work and just rest.
I mean, it's something that we have to be worried, especially if you're Diddy's not Diddy, a Diddy fan. Like, I feel like he's been having a bit of a series of pattern in terms of his body shutting down on him and stuff. So he obviously wouldn't tell us his medical history, but if you follow, it's something that you need to be worried about. And I know he's sending positive message, and I feel like he made it very light, which is good, because you always have to still stay grateful. But it kind of sent like this alarming thing for me, like bruh, like this is actually a lot deeper than we think, if it's like back to back of surgery. So like he said, if he can see this as a sign, then he needs to do whatever he needs to do. I would take it from a what's the word, instead of having to cure, to prevent it. We're already in that kind of era where we are more health aware, and that's just because the quality of our food and our lifestyle has kind of dropped from back then. And I think that people that are coming up, especially in Diddy's lane of work, which is the rap and all that type of stuff, like, you really need to start being careful about your health. There was a stats that came out and was giving lifespans according to your genre of music, and people who did country music are more like 10 times likely to live longer just because of the choice of music that they're in. So there is something wrong with our culture, and I'm talking like black overall, rap and all that type of culture. So if it's that we're not eating right, or we're drinking too much alcohol, or it's drugs or whatever, when you get to that age, it might start to kick in.
I like that you're talking about the age as well, because I mean, you can't take that away. He's 50. He's lived, he's done a lot. So I think he should just slow down and take things easy, because even for him to be in the hospital, from what he wrote, his doctors had to make him understand that you have to do this now. It is very important. So,
and he's had 2 rotation cups, 1 knee.
So I mean, age is also catching up. So he needs to slow down and enjoy, I think. All right, moving on to the final story. Before we introduce our very interesting guest, Derele Edu reveals why he keeps visiting Goldie's grave 7 years after her death. In a chat with Sunday Scoop, he said, "It is not about going there because I want to get attention or I want to be in the news. No, it is my own little way of protecting my friend's legacy and making people remember her. I'm not going to come up with a controversial agenda. It is my little way of letting people remember that there was once a Goldie, there is still a Goldie, and there will forever be a Goldie. Anytime I do that, people remember her. Some stations play her music, and it might just be for that day, but somehow she's remembered, appreciated, and loved on Valentine's Day." End of quote.
First off,
this is sweet.
First off, the way I want to see this from is, if everybody that Goldie has impacted their life, or impacted their life while she was alive, remembers her, put up a post on Valentine's Day, which is her anniversary, right? Do you know how many streams she will probably be getting on that day? So even if it's one day in every year, she will be cashing out. Her legacy would leave.
Who's cashing out? She's gone.
What?
Her family.
Her family.
Right,
like,
because it's kind of weird when you say
when I say she's still cashing out. Her estate, like she'll be cashing out, she will be remembered, her legacy. So if Adirele is the only one doing this, and just on that day, a lot of people go back to YouTube to go watch her videos, and some people go on Apple Music to stream her.
Just she has impacted, right?
Yeah, not even only those, like the fact that I just remember a Goldie because I saw a Derele post, and I just go and I watch. You know, imagine how many other people.
I mean, I don't think that Derele is the only person that is moved by that. I think Derele is the only person that is doing that we can see. I don't think he's the only one that goes to visit Goldie. I'm sure there's other people in her life that she's impacted. They're just not celebrities or have enough coverage for us to talk about it on this table. So it's good to just make that clearance. But I think it's a beautiful thing that he's doing. I don't think everyone is entitled or must do that. You can impact my life, but that doesn't mean I need to go visit you. I could have some people could do.
Come, I want you.
Some people could be doing a lot more in their houses. I, for one, don't really mess with graveyards at all. I don't really like that, except maybe it's like, you know, people have those ones where it's built somewhere else and all that stuff. But I'm not really just a big fan of that. I can't handle that much grave at all. So some people could do like throw parties at home. They could spend a lot more money than what they really is doing. So it's not something you want to just equate and say, okay, because it's posting it on social media, he loves her the most. Like I don't think you can.
People are not even saying it is doing it because he loves her the most. Some people have the opinion that he's doing it for clout.
Right.
That he's doing it to stay in the news every year. And I'm wondering, like, why does a Adirele need to go and be visiting a Goldie's grave to be in the news?
And it's not a good clout. Like, Goldie isn't even that.
Because they're saying he's doing it for publicity stuff.
I'll try to keep my mouth shut. Let us get there, please. But go ahead.
But I saw one of his interviews where he was showing his shoe collections, and he has like 2 shoes from Goldie that he put in a special place. Like, these are my special shoes. Yeah. So you can tell that this is actually real friendship before she died. So
and
big
he's a
shout
sweetheart.
out to him. Yeah, Adirele is a
Sad
sweetheart
for him.
real. And he's a real guy too. Even those that are alive, he shows them so much love.
He does.
He
really does.
The dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, big shout out to Adirele on that one. Salute, sir.
Okay, it's time for a quick break. But when we come back, we'll definitely introduce our studio guests. We'll be right back.
Hello, beautiful people. I go by the name Black Bassi, and I am an actor and a musician. Keep watching Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all.
We're a bit too selfish when it comes to, the climate and the society. And I think eventually Earth is going to say, you know what, I'm done.
Climate change, especially what we're experiencing now, some of them, most of them is actually man-made.
Climate change is both ways. It is natural occurrences that leads to climate change. We might be positive. And there are human activities.
So these days we have investors trying to say, well, if you are not practicing sustainable days or climate smart technology, we're not going to invest.
The state is supposed to manage the local government to deal with our waste. Anywhere in the world, the local government
has the power to
manage the waste because they are closer to the people.
Yes. The evidence of human-made climate change is overwhelming.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run. We are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
First point of accountability is asking questions.
Hello and welcome to Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko.
Hi everyone, welcome to Plus Training.
You cannot continue to recycle poverty while you're spending a lot of money on unproductive ventures.
The government has to feel the impact.
Honorable Commissioner, sir, welcome to the show.
Country people, we dey thank una one that joined us on top.
Our guest on this episode is Shasha Damilola Alesh, a singer, songwriter, and rapper. He's described as being a rapper, Afropop, and R&B artist with singles like Miracle, Otedola, and Alakori. Let's make welcome the versatile artist, Dice Ailes. Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. How you guys doing?
I'm all right.
How are you? I'm chilling. You guys look nice.
Oh, thank you. How many versions of your name have you heard? Because I know I had like one of the wrong ones.
Yes,
till I corrected myself.
Alice, I've heard Ailes, I've heard Ailes, I've heard all sorts of things.
But it's
Ailes, Dice Ailes.
Tell us where this name's coming from. All your names are actually quite interesting. If I don't put your name last, I just get like the Dice image and like, oh, sorry, I didn't put the email. I have to then go back and like put your last name. So where are all these names coming from?
Yeah, so the Dice describes that there's many sides to me as an artist, and I'm unpredictable, and that just shows in like how dynamic my music is. I do all sorts of stuff. I rap, I sing, I like to experiment stuff. And the Ailes is from my actual last name, which is Alesh. I just made that up. It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Okay. All right. So a lot of people in your position, because you've been relevant since like 2017 with your Otedola jam. And you've dropped a lot of others, some Miracle. Ella is my favorite, by the way.
Thank you.
So a lot of people would say that you're underrated. Do you agree?
I don't know. I think it's possible that some people underrate me. It's possible some people overrate me. But in life, you get underrated and get overrated, and get rated sometimes.
But do you think
so
you're
in your
getting...
opinion, do you think you're getting the recognition you deserve from all the work you put out there?
I think that I may not have put out enough work. I feel like the people haven't necessarily heard, they haven't fully grasped what Dice is about.
Right.
And so I feel like by the end of 2020, then we can have that conversation about being underrated or being rated.
Why do you think people haven't gotten enough of, like they haven't gotten the grasp of what Dice is all about? What's the cost for that?
I think that I haven't, like I said, I haven't put out
your stuff.
Okay, so if you haven't put out your stuff, is it a strategic problem, or is it from the record label, or is it from you?
I mean, I think that the timing hasn't just been right. I like to put out quality stuff. For my visuals, I spend time, making that, producing it. The music has to be right, everything has to be right. And I feel like I may not have been in the right frame of mind or in the right mental space to follow that up as consistently as possible. But I mean, like I said, in this year, I think I'm in the right place, right frame of mind. And Pim Pim is the first single off the album. I'm going to put out an album sometime this year, and so it's like this is the right time.
Do you mind if you just go a bit deeper into it? It kind of sounds personal, so I'm going to tread here. But you were talking about like mental health and being in the right space. Like that's really like a big thing that you've just dropped there. So if you can just shed a little more light on what that means for you and why you're saying that.
I mean, like I said, it just has to feel right. I mean, everything just has to connect. It has to make sense, physically, spiritually. It all has to make sense, you know what I'm saying? And if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't work, you know what I'm saying?
Does your record label back that up? Because I mean, like, this sounds a lot personal, and for record labels, it's more business. Don't they have like this quote where they're like, listen, I don't care where you are, like, start to dish out this, at least it's a mini amount of singles or?
Yeah, I mean, so like the record label situation that I had with Chocolate City, even within the contract terms and everything, I was still very in charge of the stuff that I was doing, and
where you said that in past tense. So
okay, I am in my life. I am generally in charge of my life.
Are you still signed to Chocolate City?
So, as I was saying before.
Okay.
3 questions at you, sorry.
Yeah, so many questions. I feel like I'm doing an interview. Yeah, so I'm very in charge of like the type of visuals, of what I post. No one really tells me what I do or what to do. You know what I'm saying? So the label, you know, was there to collaborate with me and do what I wanted to do, and then do what they had to do, and while I do my obligations towards them.
Yeah. So now can you answer the other bit? Because they're all like past tense. Are you still with Chocolate City?
I'm with you, I'm with Chocolate, I'm with everybody.
You know, you're sounding like Buhari. I'm with everybody, but I belong to nobody.
Is that the case? You belong to nobody?
I'm with everybody, I belong to nobody.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about Pim Pim. Pim Pim is your latest body of work with Olamide. And Olamide just dropped the 999 album, and that has been driving everyone crazy. So why the choice Olamide, and what's the inspiration behind Pim Pim? Is there a special Pim Pim girl right now?
So which one am I answering first?
All of them.
Answer like 4 different questions. So why Olamide? Yeah. So like I did not intend for it to be Olamide. It was just a song that I had recorded in my spare time. And then at one time me and Olamide was chilling in the studio, was just vibing at a cool hotel, I think. And he heard the song and he's like, yo, I really like the song, I want to jump on it. And we loaded it up, and you know, he dropped the verse. And that's how the song came about. And the inspiration behind it, there's no specific Pim Pim in my life. There's a lot of Pim Pims in my life.
Okay.
Okay. I was just writing.
Period.
He said what he said.
I was just writing. I was just being poetic. I was just being like, I like to write in similes. You know, you press my horn, Pim Pim. Because growing up, that was the horn for us, right? And you know, you didn't make my heart beam beam. You know what I'm saying? So I like to write in similes like that.
What other side of you have we not seen? Because you said you like poetry, you like writing in similes.
Yeah, like I started off just writing poems when I was younger. I used to have like a book, just writing and writing and writing. And then that led to, at some point I started rapping. And then in 2015, I started to consider Afro beats. And that was the first time that I ever really like sang and did anything. Was I think Fantasy, the first single, I think that was probably like my second or third Afro beat. Miracle was probably like my 4th or 5th. And somehow people just seem to accept me like I'm a real Afrobeat artist. You know what I'm saying? So,
because I was gonna ask with that, where you've kind of sort of answered the question. You're pretty young, and I wanted to know what the, I guess, behind the scenes was. For usually for artists who come or who have made like a name for themselves, they're quite older and they've done like the back work, and you know, they've been in the industry for a long time, and then it doesn't seem like that's what's happening with you. It looks like right on the spot you're out there, but I could be wrong. So can you just give us like a, I guess backstory of like what your life looked like before we actually said it really?
Yeah, I mean, so like the music thing started like when I was really young. I was like 8 years old. I would be around like my uncles. They were songwriters. They all wanted to become like huge stars, and for some reason, none of them ever even made it to a studio to record. Wow. So like, I was always just watching them, and my mom too was a choir, so I'd just be there and learning the stuff they were doing. I used to drum a lot. I was playing the harmonica, just being involved with music. And when I turned 15, I saved up money and went to the studio and took one of my uncles that wanted to be a star. I took him to the studio and wrote him a hook, and then he sang that to my rap. And then from then on, you know, I was chasing for radio airplay. I remember one of my first records got played on Rhythm FM, and that was like exciting for me. I was really young at the time. And, you know, so I've been like chasing this thing. And then in Canada as well, I was with a group called Phase 2 Collective. It was like 10 rappers, and you know, we're rapping.
That's a lot.
You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff that I was doing behind the scenes, but as soon as I was ready for Afro beats, it was ready for me. As soon as I dropped the first record, the Chocolate City conversation came, and then I traveled back, came here, dropped Miracle, blew up. I got nominated at the award show, so it seemed like I did a lot of work since I was 8 just for this to happen snappy.
Okay, let's talk about your style. I mean, Miracle, Alakari, Ella, there's a kind of playful fun in it that makes it stick. So if you're asked to define your style or what made you choose the style, what would you say?
Man, I think it's just original. Like I don't know how to describe it. I didn't pick the sound or anything. I just have fun. I'm really playful when I'm not on camera. So when I'm recording, I think it just comes out, and like with Tedala, you can tell like I'm really just playing with words, and with Pim, with Ella, like I like to play a lot, and I think just my personality shows in my music.
So what would you say right now with the music that you've got out? We know it's not the holistic view of you because you have so much more, but right now, what would you say is that music that you're like, okay, this describes me more? Like if I wanted any music to represent me, this is the one I would use.
I think Otedala really describes me.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm a rap head, right? So a lot of people don't know about your rap side so much.
Right.
Yeah. So what would you say happened to the rap? Is it because of the commerciality, like you're trying to make some money, so you went into the old Afro pop and all of that? Or you just feel like it's not yet time for rap, especially because with a record label like Chocolate City, where you have lots of rappers on that label, one would expect that, okay, that's a good platform for you to push your rap side, but you're not doing much of that, so what's the reason behind that?
At the time that I came in here, I just felt like Nigerians didn't understand what I was trying to do with my rap, and I understand the market. And I'm not going to be selling to you what you're not ready to buy. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't about money for me.
So they're pretty much not ready for Dice. Okay.
I just think we're still not
ready. I just felt like people didn't get it. And I wasn't going to be out here wasting my time. Because at the end of the day, I want you to hear me. Yeah. So I'm not going to be talking to deaf ears. So So I'm out here doing what you want to hear.
I wish you had more time, but
you have
thank
to
you.
freestyle.
No, you can't. Sorry. That's how we wrap up this episode.
Look, my voice is gone, bro.
Saved by the bell.
Thank you for watching. Remember, you can catch up on this conversation and all our exclusive content by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Plus TV Africa. You can also watch Tea Time on Alto TV and in London on Ben Television. My thank you as always go to my co-anchors, Ife Omai and Ife Oluwashunke, and of course our guest, Dice Ailes. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having
me. My name is Elsie Godwin saying thank you for watching and see you later.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
Country people, I greet on our top this very o'clock when to join us for news on the hour for Plus TV Africa. This is not the Toro when someone given out my name, I promise. Nero. They say Socioeconomic Right and Accountability Project, SERAP, and 192 concerned Niger people, they don't find one lawsuit as they tell the Federal High Court inside Abuja to come out hand and stop the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, and all members of House may they not use the 5.04 billion naira take buy 400 big new motor cars for inside their principal office and members. SERAP still say they want the court to order may they stop the National Assembly Service Commission, may they not release any public money to the House of Representatives to buy 400 Toyota Camry 2020 model cars when we say they say it will cost $35,130 each until they torchlight the spending for the access to public services and goods like education, security, health, and clean water matter. On the 5th of February, the House of Representatives, they passed one resolution say they won't buy 400 Toyota Camry 2020 motor as official motor for 360 members and other people. When he say the top management staff, the chief of staff, to the 2 presiding officers and some of their special advisors and assistants, they join people when he say they won't buy the motor for. For one statement, when we say Oluware, when we say still be the deputy organ of the SERAP, it do on Sunday, they say the plaintiff still say it is illegal and unconstitutional for the members of the House of Representatives to say they won't buy big motor from outside when we say that they encourage Niger people and they tighten their bet and to buy Niger brands. House of Representatives Committee on Defense show face for the theater of Operation Lafayette Dole, Maduguri Cantonment to see the challenge them when we say soldiers, when we say that they fight insurgent, they face. Now, Baba Jimmy Benson lead the House Committee and he pledged their full commitment to support the Niger Army for the worker to fight terrorists for the Northeast as they will give them more equipment and manpower. Baba Jimmy for the interview let them know say the insurgent war when say Niger they face, they come only from Niger but say people from other places they join. He say plenty terrorists from Libya play plenty roles to support Boko Haram when they say that they terrorize Niger and neighboring country. The theater commander, Major General Olusegun Adeniyi, he give the committee for inside the operation.
On television and on radio and on newspapers, all the interest of every segment of Nigeria about this operation. We thank them, we thank all of you for seeing to it that things must move forward. It's a collective duty and we are proud everybody is behind us. And like I said, I will be giving you a briefing and by God's grace, I believe this security in Nigeria will soon be a thing of the past by God's grace.
Indeed, Borno has to regain its title, which is the land of peace. So we're going here, we're going to meet the National Assembly again and do things within the shortest possible time to bring back peace to this very peaceful state. Stabilization effect in Libya, that has caused a lot of chaos along this corridor. Borno being a state that is close to our neighboring states has been the epicenter of this insurgency. We've had their challenges, they do have challenges. The armed forces is understaffed. That's why we're going to ensure that people are immediately recruited and trained so that they can man this geographical space and also properly equipped. So that's what we're going to do. We also need to talk to sister states, sister countries to help assist police this area.
Between March 2019 to date, we have experienced horrific and spontaneous attacks throughout the state. As I told the General Commander, we are experiencing such attacks in a quick geometrical ratio. And therefore, I pleaded to Mr. President as well as the Nigerian military to revisit the strategy that they did during the 2016-2017, that we have almost celebrated the demise of the Boko Haram. So that we can end the insurgency. One most important thing that we need to do is to take the fight into their enclaves. the whereabouts of the Boko Haram is known to almost all of us. It's known to the people of the concept, it's known to the Nigerian military, it's known to all of us. Indeed, the community are sharing information to the best of my knowledge.
Oga President Muhammadu Buhari don't say, but no sweet am for the way when we say Boko Haram to the go gbege kakide inside Adamawa State, and he can't do better and give the families of the victim when we say the gbege. So, for one year, when we say talk man, Malam Gaba Shehu do inside Abuja on Sunday, the president say they not go leave any part of Nigeria for the bad people hand. And he said this gbege for soft target when we say the terrorists do na signs of frustration because he administrated to do plenty things to weaken Boko Haram military power to invade and hold Nigeria territory. As he take care, he says since he administrates that, they don't do every to frustrate Boko Haram waka to invade and occupy Nigeria territories. Buhari say Nigeria will see strong campaign for the coming weeks to defeat Boko Haram once and for all. One before Vice President Atiku Abubakar on Saturday said the attack when say Boko Haram wahala people do for Gakida, Adamawa, it don't make sense at all. For a verified personal Twitter handle, the 2019 presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, he still do better and with the families when we say the things happen to for Gakida. He tweets say the attack by Boko Haram against lives and properties of innocent Nigeria people, it don't be another thing. And he say in prayers, they with the people of Gakida for a home state of Adamawa for the year attack when we say happen for the weekend. He said may God give the families when we say the thing happen to better mind to bear the loss. Before Nigeria head of state and national shemo of Nigeria praise, General Yakubu Gowon retired on Sunday, he lead a group for one prayer rally for peace to reign for the Northeast zone and Nigeria at large. As a yarn for the one-day prayer rally when we say the Nigeria praise do, Northeast zone do for Bauchi, with the team, the Lord of Hosts is with us. Gowon say with them, they do the prayer rally now for the country and most especially for these wahala times. He say they join body from all the northeastern zone, gather body for inside Bauchi to call Baba God so that they fit pray for Baba God mercies and blessings for Nigeria. As Gowon take care, he say this one, and to appease the political, social, and economic betterness of Bauchi State and the whole of the northeast zone as they face wahala of terrorism, insurgencies, and plenty kind of insecurity and criminal wakadem. The Christian Association of Nigeria can don't call on Oga President Muhammadu Buhari make it carry all Nigeria people along, even with different tribe and religion. The can Vice President Caleb Akima Young give Plus TV Africa inside Abuja for one reception when we say he do for the victim of the wahala people from the northeast, and they still say Oga President Muhammadu Buhari make it do what the Constitution talk and put body for the national character.
There is a lot of talk going about this evil that is happening in Nigeria, but I think that there should be proper analysis that Nigerians may know what percentage of the problem we are suffering that is religious, what percentage is political, and others if they be. Government should heed the call of Nigerians about treating the provisions of the Constitution with respect. The fact that somebody is a president in this nation does not give him the right to just behave any way he likes. And so the president must go back to the Constitution and must know that he is president over all Nigerians, not over a selected group of religionists or political entities in this country. And for decency, order and decency to be restored to our nation, if the Constitution is there to guide us, why not follow the Constitution?
One before Oga Legal and Public Affairs of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Samuel Kwankwo, he don't talk a bind for the way when we say the federal government not take they talk anything for the threat when we say the Boko Haram Oga Abubakar Shekau, they give Oga President Muhammadu Buhari. They see some of the threat give the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Isa Ibrahim Pentami. And Kwankwo talk for one interview, say he worry mind and he do this year before in tenure will finish on Friday. Kwankwo say they pay him, but he not surprised say the Boko Haram Oga Abubakar Shekau go release one video when we say take threat, say he go attack the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, and the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Isa Ibrahim Bantani. The Kwara Police Command talk for one statement when we say the Police Public Relations Officer, PPRO, DSP, Ajayi, Okasomi, he gives say they don't get any place when we say kidnappers, they hide inside a lorry when we say the state capital. This one follow Waka when we say that they say they don't see one place where kidnappers, they hide for Okoeri community inside a lorry. The State Commissioner of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, he can't talk say the 12 people when we say they say from the hands of suspected kidnappers for the area don't say they not kidnap them. As the young take day, they say the people they between 16 and 30 years. Betekun say the people when we say they did the age of 16 and 30 years for their separate and confirm give police say they not kidnap them as people they talk. Lagos State Government through the Health Facility Monitoring and Accreditation Agency, HEFAMA, don't shut down 20 health facilities for the month of January because they don't reach the regulatory standard. The Executive Secretary of the HEFAMA, Dr. Abiola Idowu, when we say through this year and after one waka, when we say the joint body do say the state government remain committed to sustain the fight against the waka of unqualified personnel for health facilities. He said the joint body will continue to support better environment for the work of medical care for promotion and maintenance of good health. Idowu Samawan say the government will take any illegal health practice for the state, and as she take it, she say health security now bonge part of public security when we say the primary duty of the government. All right, the news go continue after the shaking break. Mona no go anywhere. Let's say as a preliminary result from the Electoral Commission on Monday take day, they say Togo President for Gasimbe, he don't win the re-election with 72% of the vote. When we say make him, they the 15-year rule, and one family work out say start when the papa take power for 1967 coup. Even with the plenty wahala, we not agree when we say people they do make a step down. One opposition does struggle to launch one campaign to come out Gasimbe from inside power for the small West Africa country of 8 million people. All right, the next one, now our foreign news.
Almost every Nigerian wants to leave the country, but do they understand what it means to be a global citizen?
The reason why people were leaving Nigeria 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and even until now, is essentially because they want to survive. Movement is a human duty, right? You have to move. Part of the biggest problem in Nigeria is we produce what we don't consume, and we consume what we don't produce. There's no economy in the world that can survive on that equation. The idea of running away to another country, undocumented, hiding, compromising your dignity, take baser positions in those societies, marry people you hate, hibernate all your life, dwarf your most important dreams and aspirations, take a compromise in the name of the pursuit of economics, embrace toil, otherwise called hustle, and lose your meaning and your purpose totally. You will play the majority game pretending to be happy, or you'll be sad and miserable for the rest of your life. So my goal, my thinking is that instead of thinking relocation, we should think penetration.
Welcome to Tea Time on Plus TV Africa, where we bring you the biggest entertainment stories and, of course, analyze them for you.
You can have both parents and still end up as a useless child. I see them every day.
Most times I worry more about where I'm coming from and where I am now, and that determines my next step.
Why are you sounding like
Alibaba
now?
Plus TV Africa, we're feeling good. No time to dull, everybody feeling alright.
Still make music and people are still buying. That
outside, they look myself minimal IU.
Akpala music is for mature-minded people. I got DMs sometimes from Malawi, like,
Sleeping early.
Onto foreign, they say better brigade happened inside the Haitian capital on Sunday as a fire gunshot go reach midnight as police ginger their will not go gree waka and people because of their pay and conditions. The brigade now they say it don't worse past since the police start. They will not go gree waka for the end of the last year as the Obonge Caribbean island nation they struggle with one long economic and political brigade. The Haitian government gave one statement late Sunday when we say that they say they no join hand for the brigade as they call and say an attack against freedom and democracy and say it had them to know what it caused the wahala. Russia don't say their hand, they allegate when we say they go everywhere about the new coronavirus palaver for social media. U.S. officials say Russia link accounts, they make some people claim saying America start the outbreak. The officials say thousands of profiles for Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, they said the story. And the Russian Foreign Ministry, when say that they shook mouth put for the allegate on Saturday, say the story are fake. Foreign Ministry talk woman Maria Zakharova, it tell Russia, TASS news agency say this one na carry talk. All right, the next one, now our business news. And onto business, they say one before guy of budgetary department, Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Titus Okurumu, he don't summer better and give the federal government may they use all what they get for mechanized farming to check the rising inflation rate for the country. Okurumu is summer the battalion for one interview inside Ota Ogun on Sunday, and the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) we done on Monday talk the inflation rate when say it come out from 11.98% for December go 12.13% for January. The financial service people say need deal for the federal government to put body for the mechanized farming so that they fit to reduce the plenty rise for the inflation rate inside the country. The Nigerian economy depend on plenty rain to plant their crops, and they make the price of goods to dey cheap for this period. But they say for the dry season, price of goods they go up because no rain dey to plant, and this one the ginger rise for the nation inflation rate. The Minister of Military Production, Mohammed Al-Sa, he talk on Sunday, say Egypt could start to produce their first batch of electric bus inside their military production factories for November. For one meeting with the industry committee of the House of Representatives, Al-Sa say in ministry don't set up one company for battery charging stations. The contract dey for place to run electric bus inside the cities and put charging stations for everywhere. As I say, the ministry don't give Chinese company Foton the contract to do the motor them, and this one are for the rate of 500 every year for 4 years, when we say the total of 2,000 bus then. All right, still ahead on Top Plus about African news. Now our roundup for sports with the show back.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye. Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. Like, no question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, no.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Not to sport, they say Heracles striker Curated, the Dutch league leading scorer, he say he play the best football of his career, and he hope he say he go dey informed to give him the first Niger cap. The 24-year-old when he say they born give Belgian papa, and when he say qualify for Niger dream mama, he committed international workout to the West African nation for December. That's when he say he don't start every game, and when he say he don't get 14 goals and 5 assists this season. He hopes say he form if he catch the attention of Niger Oga cannot roll. And he say that they know but he need to play well as he go fit play for inside Heracles, and he get hope say it go happen very soon. That's I say if they select him for Niger, it go make sense. And he go dey honored to get the chance to play for the Super Eagles for the race for the Continental Showpiece event. The Minister of Youth and Sports, Sunday Dare, don't hear members of the Air Warriors Women basketball team as they win the 2019 National Basketball Women League. Oga Dare, when we say play host to the team, say the federal government go support the league and they go work to give some members of the team international exposure and scholarship for those who say they're ready to continue their education. He still say the ministry will come up body from mistake when we say they don't do before, like the failure to sponsor the team to show the African Club Championship when we say they just do.
From this point, we're going to make sure that the NBBF works closely with them. We're going to support them to remain a strong team. Like I said, we intend to take 2 of them to the Olympics to go and watch the Team Nigeria play. Beyond that, we're going to also introduce them to the Olympics Scholarship Fund that helps to support their education.
It's high time we actually support other sports, and that is why we are, re-energizing ourselves to ensure that we brace other sports. For us at the Athletic Federation, Supporters Club of Nigeria, we want to also go to Japan and also support, other teams apart from athletics.
These girls, even if their morals are down before that, what is even the essence of winning the league? He has changed the narrative, and every one of them, they are happy and they believe that this same basketball they are playing is something that they should keep on doing, that instead of them going back to the streets.
All right, now for you, we'll go break on top this very clock for news on the hour for Plus TV Africa. For better and plenty information, follow us at Plus TV Africa for Facebook, for Twitter, and for Instagram. And go make better sense when I subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We will still the same and plenty of that to read them as time they go. My name is Promise Nero. And I thank another episode that you join us on well done.
Sometimes when we see celebrities either on social media, television, or in person, we assume they have it all together, but we forget that they're also human. Well, here are some of the low points of some of your favorite celebrities.
So coming into Lagos and having to do like 5 jobs, at a time, my life has always been a balancing act, Time was when I was in this town. Funny you mentioned it. This entire area, I hip hop around this area. I start from NTA and begin to work my way gradually, end up here at Peck Theatre, and then at the Onikon Museum, and then at Racecourse. story for another day.
All right, so growing up, I mean, I wouldn't say I was born with a silver spoon, but I was okay. Dad had everything going on for us. And I lost him when I was 16. So at that point in my life, I had to start making decisions for myself, which was a bit difficult. And that was when I actually decided to become a DJ. When my dad was alive, he didn't want me to do entertainment. So I had to shape myself, take that decision. I remember leaving my house for 2 years at some point because I was chasing my dream. And I mean, all that basically has molded me into the man I am today.
I remember while I was in school, I would never imagine I would be the person today. I even, at some point, never had money to go to school. So what I would do, I would walk all the way to the bus stop and hope that when I get in the bus, I'll see a student like me that can pay for me before I get to Lasso Gates. But for real, life is like that, and we just take all these things and mold them into what makes us stronger. You mold all the struggle into dumbbell, use them to make yourself stronger. That's it. So for me, I can share a lot of experience with you that would make you drop your jaw and be like, you went through all this.
I personally, I never saw the four walls of a university. But I found myself now being able to inspire and speak to a lot of audiences. And it's all about self-improvement. Having that drive to, I want to be better than who I am. I want to move. I want to be a positive change. I want to impact positively on the people. It is just one making that honest decision to push themselves rather than looking for the shortest cut by doing all sorts of, hanky-panky nonsense. We can, if only you can.
I've been so broke that I had to walk from Maryland to Ilukweju because I didn't have 15-hour transport money for bus. So yeah, I've been through that. And I didn't want to call anybody. This was something that I was like, I got to go through this on my own because I decided to get into the entertainment industry and chase after my dreams. Left my job. I was tired of calling family, parents, my father, my mother, my guardians to say, yo, I'm broke, I was like, you know what, let's rough it, and I did. But here I am today.
One of my worst experience then was when I premiered on radio, the first 2 weeks was hell because people was calling the radio station to some said they should arrest me, some said they should sack me, some said they should they don't like my voice. They just feel I'll be worried, but are they rude, Then not be now we be like say comedian go come. Then a few comedians they. So when you go strange land and I go a day, then when you go that kind of area we be like say the only comedians where they know that and Ikemowo or Sophia Sin and you got they speak pidgin and say comedian that time if you hear person you go be like say you they rude and those Igbo people they not they take a likely at all. So the first 2 weeks for my radio career they say me they sack me. First 3 weeks so me and my friends what we they do? People go call the radio station, say me they sack me, we can go buy card, 90 card. So when those people they call, my friends will go try to call the radio station, say, Mona Livamo, now our best presenter. But the funny thing is our calls not they go through. If we try to call the radio station where they work, we know if they get the radio station. But the other people they call.
And the village people.
Yes, my village people, your blog the line.
A few years ago, 2012 I think or 2013, I was on a music competition. And one of the judges said to me, I still know him, I'm not going to call him out. So he said that he doesn't feel like singing is something I should ever think of.
How did that make you feel?
I didn't feel bad because I'm precious.
Hello, and welcome to Plus Reports, the roundup on reports and stories that made the news. I am Nimi Adekombi.
We start off with politics in Nigeria, which is in dire need of change and good governance, according to Obi Ezekwesili. In the gathering of some of the prominent political leaders in Nigeria, Obi Ezekwesili, in partnership with the Robert Bosch Academy, has launched the Fix Politics Initiative, where Nigeria's political environment was evaluated and solutions to the political logjams in the country were preferred. Elsie Godwin brings us more details.
It's been 2 decades of democracy in Nigeria, being the most populous country in Africa. The progress of the continent, to a large extent, depends on our ability to get the polity right. Despite cluster development, the layman can still feel the impact of poor politics in Africa. We're live at the kickoff of a 3-day conference tagged Fix Politics, an initiative by a former vice president of the World Bank Africa Division and a former presidential candidate of Nigeria, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili.
Even though we're discussing fixing politics, we're not discussing it from a partisan perspective. We're saying that there are structural issues that have made our politics to be defective.
Speakers, panelists, participants, and concerned Nigerians look forward to the results and suggestions from months of research as carried out by Dr. Ezekwesili in partnership with the Robert Bosch Academy.
During the conference, I'm very much looking forward to hear about some of the findings and the whole work I know that has been going on through the working groups. And of course, it's not just the inputs. I very much hope that there's going to be a discussion with, I think, up to almost 200 people.
It's all about reminding people about the power they have as citizens of the country. We're not just here for, the 4 years, every 4 years activity.
Agreeing that politics in Nigeria and indeed Africa needs urgent fixing, this conference is expected to be an opportunity to address and reflect upon some of the issues plaguing politics on the continent.
Our country, Nigeria, is not in a good place at this time. Whether you're looking at our politics, whether you're looking at our economy, whether you're looking at our security, whether you're looking at any which way you want to look at it, Nigeria is not in a good place at this time.
If our country is going to be sustainable, economically, it's going to be sustainable, security-wise, we all have to get involved.
We cannot continue to be this country that, on the one hand, has such incredibly gifted people who are contributing immensely to, development in other countries and so on. And then in our own country, we are in this mess.
Elsie Godwin reporting for Plus TV Africa.
Still on the Fix Politics Initiative, Obi Ezekwesili, Patutomi, along with other political elites, have spoken up against the political culture that is not in the collective interest of Nigerians and have called for a shift from democratic monopoly to real democracy. Our political correspondent, Merichinda, reports.
11 months and 17 days after the 2019 presidential election, the first Fix Politics conference holds in Lagos. This talk shop focuses on stirring advocacy against bad leadership in Nigeria. It is the Robert Bosch Academy Conference being facilitated by former ACP and presidential candidate Obi Ezekwesili to present her research work on changing politics structurally for Africa's prosperity.
You need a new political culture that subordinates private interests to the collective welfare. And you can do that by the kind of political class that will emerge different from the current monopoly political class.
And with this new term, monopoly democracy, established by the researcher and former education minister Obi Ezekwesili, Professor Patutomi joins in, and along with other political elites here, the call on electorates to demand a shift from democratic monopoly to real democracy.
We cannot have rational public conversation in Nigeria because the moment you point to something that is important that we need to talk about to solve it, the Ministry of Information will send people to begin to blackmail you on social media, call you all kinds of names. So our country is in a terrible position because we have the wrong people in public office who don't even understand the meaning of public conversation.
If we know that good governance is an absolute necessity
for countries to grow and develop. And we know that good governance is not possible without good politics. And then we also know that what we have seen so far across our continent, and especially our country, is nothing that comes close to good politics. It therefore means that there is a structural issue.
As long as you are not tired of giving us bad governance, we will not be tired of being out there, speaking every day, going out every day, talking to the people on the street and letting them know.
To break that ceiling, you need to fight. You need to work hard. You need to have long hours.
Mary Chinda for Plus TV Africa.
The 2019 Global Peace Index, GPI, has ranked Nigeria 148 among the 163 least peaceful countries of the world. This is a cause for concern, and several policymakers have called for structure, training, and welfare of the Nigerian police force in order to bolster security in Nigeria. A bill to adopt community policing in Nigeria's current Police Act has scaled the second reading on the floor of the Senate. The bill was sponsored by legislator Jika Dauda, who called for radical reforms of the Nigerian police. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, says the amended bill will restructure the Nigerian police force. See for yourself.
Intractable challenges of insecurity in our country that has necessitated the proposed repeal for this extant act and the enactment of the new one in its place in consonance with the dictate of international best practice. The 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended in Section 14, subsection 2, paragraph B, indeed states that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. Yet, the spread of insecurity and criminality in Nigeria has remained not only alarming, but unrelenting violent crimes have characterized daily living in Nigeria. The negative impact of this sad security situation on the economy and general social and political development of Nigeria as well documented.
This bill should consider the restructuring of the command and structure of the Nigeria police. The present structure is not working. Funding the trust fund, the police trust fund is already accruing some money. The last count I was told there was about 52 billion naira or so. But it's not about throwing money to the police. You need to adjust the structure. Otherwise, that money will just be a sinking fund. So we should be in a hurry to recruit, to train and retrain. Equipping the police training institutions is supposed to be one vital aspect of getting our security arrangements right. And this is something that we have to do in a hurry, even if it means going for supplementary budget.
Hopefully, the introduction of community policing will aid in abating crime and keeping Nigerians safe. Still on issues affecting Nigerians, UNICEF says the population of out-of-school children in Nigeria has risen to 13.2 million, the highest in the world. According to their study, most of these children are in Nigeria's northern states, where Boko Haram's insecurities have disrupted academic activities. Nigeria's First Lady, Aisha Buhari, decried the situation, saying that the population of out-of-school children in the north is disheartening. Plus TV Africa spoke to Mba Uzoku, managing partner, Grand Central, on this issue.
Statistically, you cannot ignore the numbers, what the numbers are saying, and I think the data that's been put forward, the studies are accurate enough for us at least to take into consideration when we're making our plans. The question is, where do you go from here? And is it a question of more resources, more money being pumped into those systems, or there are other more fundamental things to consider? I believe, and I think a number of people are coming to that same perspective, that there are other more fundamental things that have to be done to face the challenge of education. And if we fix education generally, it can also be fixed in the north. It's not a northern problem per se. It is an education problem that is a national problem that the country needs to address. And when we address that problem, then the North would benefit from that if they do certain things, and we can come to that. I believe that's what the First Lady was referring to, that there are historically certain constraints. But let's dial back even further and look at the ancient kingdoms. As far back as you can go, you will find that when we say social-cultural, I guess we're referring to the religious, the religious and the cultural context around most of the north. And yet, when you go back into history, you find that the ancient kingdoms of Songhai, Timbuktu, Jenne, the first and the oldest universities in Africa, they were Islamic scholars. So it's not as though Islam as a faith has a challenge with education. And it's not an education not just in terms of the content or even in terms of who gets it, but it's a fundamental, in fact, it is a scientific society. So that's not the problem per se. I think that there's a larger problem that is delivered, that is brought to bear by the political infrastructure, the political layer that surrounds the social-cultural issues, and whether or not that political layer is not actually what is preventing the benefits of education from filtering through. It would also be important for us to understand that the system that we call this education system that we think is not delivering for the North, is it actually delivering for the rest of the country? And the answer is clearly no. You cannot have a situation where, as a nation, what we have is a system that has about 1% of the population in tertiary education. In other words, the entirety of our education sector, tertiary education sector, has a population of about 1.7 million in terms of enrollment. 1.75 million in a country of 183 million is 1%. Can you survive as a country with 1% of your population? Forget what's happening in the North for a minute, and let's look at it from a national perspective and ask ourselves, is the tertiary sector even producing the capacity? Does it have the capacity to produce the numbers that we need to drive development in our country? And the answer is a clear no. The global benchmark is 8%, and Nigeria is at 1% or less than 1%, because you will have to discount that number by the quality of those that come into schools. And when you decompose the results that are coming from JAMB over the past 20, 30 years, you start to see that the majority of the students who get into our universities get into universities with a score below 200, which is 50% of the 400 marks that are possible in JAMB. And that the bulk of that number actually score between 180 and 160. You'll also find that the people who score the lowest in terms of cutoff rates, the cutoff marks are the lowest for colleges of education, polytechnics and monotechnics. And yet statistically, this is where the bulk of our population is going to fall. So it's not everyone that's going to go into university and get a degree. The bulk of our population has to be educated for skills, and they must work in a technical and vocational education sector. And so our education system, which is focused on the academic education, is leading to a bottleneck where the capacity, the actual carrying capacity of our institutions is 1% of our population. How do you break that? When we break that, then the benefits begin to flow for everyone. And it is not going to be solved by setting up more physical universities and physical secondary schools. If you look again, and I think it was under the Minister, Obi Ezekwesili, study was done, and they found that the dropout rate from junior secondary 3, the transition from JS3 into SS1 is 14%. So out of every 100 children that reach JS3, only 14 will continue to senior secondary 1. So that means that we're losing 86% of our children. And this was a study done in 1993 or something of this sort. So you're asking yourself over the decades, what is happening to that 86%? If they're falling out and they do not go, because the track to SS1 is what takes you to the university. So if you have only 14% of your children into that, and the reason why it's 14% is not because they're not intelligent, it's because the carrying capacity, we have fewer senior secondary schools than we have secondary schools in general. So immediately you start to see the thing is constricting. And so that constriction continues to happen, and narrowing continues to happen until it gets to that top where there's only 1% of our population in tertiary education.
The case of the out-of-school children in northern states is one that needs to be urgently addressed. Still on big stories, aviation workers who converged at the nation's capital, Abuja, for the commencement of the Aviation Workers Week have shared their excitement over the prospects of a national career. They said this career would not only increase the nation's revenue drive, but would also grow the nation's aviation industry. Amadine Uyi reports.
According to available data, commercial airlines generated over $600 billion in 2019 alone. They also carried about 4.5 billion passengers in 2018, with air transportation playing an important role for tourism and contributing to economic growth of many countries. Aviation experts think Nigeria can do more for its aviation sector.
Aviation is a mover of the economy of the country. And in Nigeria, we have not been up and doing. I would say that we would need to do much more than we're doing at the moment. There are smaller countries in Africa in which you'll find out that aviation is what really leads their economy. Go to Egypt, Ethiopia, even Kenya here. Ghana is doing very well in aviation too. On our own, we want to catch up.
With the talk of a national carrier on the front burner by the present administration, the belief is that a national carrier for Nigeria will grow the nation's aviation sector.
The real thing that will really move aviation forward is this national carrier we're talking about. National carrier comes along with an MRO, that's a maintenance repair organization, comes along with an aviation leasing company so that other airlines, apart from national carrier, can also get lease aircraft at cheaper rates. It comes along with training, because there is a lot of training involved when you have a national carrier. It becomes the training ground so that other aviation sectors can also gain from it.
As aviation workers converge on Abuja to mark the 2020 Aviation Week, they say the delay to get a national carrier is not a setback, as they think patience is the key to getting it right.
My brother, is it not better that it takes a longer time and it is well done than you hurriedly do it, and at the end of the day, we still experience what we experienced in the defunct Nigeria Airways? So I think the minister is taking his time, going by procedures to ensure that he gives this national carrier a sound and a solid footing.
Some of the unions commend the Ministry of Aviation and the Minister Hadi Sirika, saying his resolve to bet a national carrier is a step in the right direction.
We're looking at the trail of what the Honorable Minister of Aviation. Look, unionism and labor is not all about protests. At times also when government, when they do good, we should also commend them and follow that trail. What he is doing now, attempting to re-establish the national carrier, is what the union wants, because we know it's going to improve our economy, it's going to add to our GDP. So we are so much at home with that particular concept.
Amadine Uyi, Plus TV Africa.
Sexual harassment has almost become a norm in numerous Nigerian universities, but with the recent Sex for Grades documentary exposing a number of lecturers sexually harassing their students, several petitions have been made as regards this issue. One of the most prominent petitions is the review of existing laws on sexual harassment in the country. A bill prohibiting sexual harassment of students in tertiary institutions was sponsored by the Deputy President of the Senate, Ovie Omoagege. In Abuja, the Senate held a public hearing on the bill, and several stakeholders have called for more stringent measures against this menace in tertiary institutions. Take a look.
Sexual harassment and intimidation is not just a sexual or a moral offense, but also a criminal one. It is an offense that is so offensive to good reasoning as much as it is an assault on our human virtues and good conscience. A crime that seeks to take advantage through pandering to base instincts and committed against weak and disadvantaged victims is also one that no nation should take lightly. We have often made the point that societies are better where every individual, young, weak, small, strong, is respected.
Now, if you look at the power dynamics of the relationship between students and lecturers, it is obvious that there is only one strong person. The other is the weak person in the relationship. And there is no way a student would pressure a lecturer into going to sexual harassment. We cannot agree with
Global warming has become one of the greatest threats of the century. And in Nigeria, it seems as if we do not recognize the magnitude of this. There is a high level of environmental pollution in the country, and one of the greatest causes is due to waste pollution. Waste pollution has become a menace in Lagos, Nigeria, and the need to tackle this is essential. Statewide Waste and Environmental Education Project SWEEP, in collaboration with Lagos State Government and LOMA, held a high-level citizens forum on waste reduction and management. Our correspondent, Mercy Emmanuel, reports.
Waste management is said to be one of the pressing environmental challenges in Lagos. With its vast population that now exceeds 21 million, Lagos State generates about 10,000 metric tons of waste daily, which makes an average of 3.65 million tons per year, more than any other state in Nigeria. Despite a host of policies and regulations, solid waste management in the state is assuming alarming proportion with each passing day.
To clear our waste, to achieve zero waste, and also encourage recycling, it's a collective effort, like the Lagos State slogan that ends with Ajumoshe. We need to teach other people to do it. We had the environmental officers, the Woles in those days, and they were very, very effective and functional. They were even more functional and effective than the policemen. When you hear Baba Wole is coming into your house and he sees any tangwiji or kokoro inside your house, you are gunners for life. And that was what was happening. Not in a fighting approach or a blame approach, but in a way that they can accept it. There are many ways that we've been taught how to get our people to accept that cleanliness is priority, is paramount. Cleanliness is close to a healthy nation. A lot of these sicknesses that we are seeing at the moment starts with poor hygiene, filthy environments, Lassa fever. Honestly, we don't have any business having Lassa fever in this century.
As the advocacy for proper waste management spring on, citizens are advised to take advantage of the waste-to-wealth system.
When I see those pictures of plastics in the drains and waste piled on the highway, I see Naira notes and dollar notes lying in the drainage and lying on the roadside.
We need to put the energy into tidying up, recycling and all, and make money from waste. There's a lot in waste to energy, waste to wealth that we can do.
As a matter of fact, the National Union of Road Transport Workers is partnering with us to ensure that every one of their buses has waste bins. And we also plan to put waste bins at the bus stops, which will be cleaned and emptied regularly by our sweepers. Many of you know that we have street sweepers throughout Lagos now, over 10,000 of them, whose job is to keep the streets clean every day. So we want you to support them by not littering. Just because you see them cleaning doesn't mean that you should add to what they're sweeping. We have waste policing units throughout the city, and if you are caught, you will be taken to courts. We have mobile courts, and sentenced to community service.
If we get every other person to become as exposed environmentally, as enlightened environmentally, you will find lesser amount of field in our public space. Now, beyond that, if we get education environmentally, you will find out that the number of recyclable waste that go into the environment will be reduced.
In order to live in a clean and healthy environment, there is an urgent need to shun irresponsible and indiscriminate waste disposal. Reporting for Plus TV Africa, Mercy Emmanuel.
That's it on our roundup on reports and stories that made the news. Remember, you can watch this and other episodes on our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. And don't forget to follow us on all our social media pages. I am Nimi Adekombi. For big stories, tune in to Plus TV Africa.
In a world of overwhelming voices, where everyone has something to say,
It is important that we bring the core issues to the fore.
As we lend our voices to inspire, inform, influence, and provoke your thoughts and action.
We want to hear these issues and know what you are saying. This is not just women talking.
It is an evocative program that touches the core of our existence.
We take on topics some may consider taboo and want to sweep under the carpet.
We understand that what touches one touches all. We know you have a lot to say, so let's hear you.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. By no question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, no.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Many thanks for joining us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. Here are the stories making the headlines, and I am Amaka Okoye. President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned Boko Haram attack on Garkida in Adamawa State and extended his sympathy to families of the victims. In a statement by his spokesman Malam Garba Shehu in Abuja on Sunday, the president said that no part of Nigeria would be abandoned to their fate. He said, and I quote, "These attacks on soft targets by the terrorists are obvious signs of frustration because my administration has significantly weakened Boko Haram's military capability to invade and hold Nigerian territory unchallenged." According to him, since the inception of his administration, Boko Haram's ability to invade and occupy Nigerian territories had been frustrated. Buhari assured that in the coming weeks, Nigerians would witness an aggressive campaign to defeat Boko Haram once and for all. Now, former Nigeria head of state and national chairman of Nigeria Praise, General Yakubu Gowon, retired on Sunday, led the group in a prayer rally for peace to reign in the Northeast Zone and Nigeria at large. Speaking during the one-day prayer rally organized by Nigeria Praise, Northeast Zone held in Bauchi with the theme, "The Lord of Hosts is with us." Gowon said the purpose of the prayer rally was to fervently intercede for the country, most especially in these troubling times. He said the group from all the Northeastern Zone gathered in Bauchi in absolute submission to God in order to pray for God's mercies and blessings on Nigeria. According to him, this is to appease the political, social, and economic well-being of Bauchi State and the entire Northeast Zone as they grapple with the issues of terrorism, insurgencies, and various kinds of insecurity and criminality. Meanwhile, a former director, legal and public affairs of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Samuel Kamkur, has expressed concern over the silence of the federal government argument towards the threat on President Muhammadu Buhari by the Boko Haram commander Abubakar. The threat was also issued to the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Isa Ibrahim Pantami. Kamkuru expressed this worry in an interview before the expiration of his tenure on Friday. He said, "It is truly sad but not surprising that the Boko Haram commander Abubakar Shekau will release a video threatening to attack the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, and the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Isa Ibrahim Pantami." The Director General of the Progressives Governors Forum, Salihu Lukman, in a memo addressed to the Chief BC Akonde-led All Progressives Congress National Reconciliation Committee, has pointed at the APC National Chairman Adams Oshomole as the source of the party's woes. According to the document sent to reporters in Abuja on Sunday, the PGFDG noted that when the APC came on board, it successfully minimized the problem of imposition of candidates, at least for the 2015 elections. He noted that it was sad that soon afterwards, old habits began to rear heads. Lukman said, and I quote, "Inability to resolve problems associated with management of 2015 elections had been compounded with more problems from 2019 elections. In fact, multiplicity of these problems has made us to lose elections in Adamawa, Bauchi, Oyo, Sokoto, and Zamfara states." Now, Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki on Sunday said courtesy demanded that All Progressives Congress National Chairman Adams Oshomole should notify him whenever he intended to visit home. The former governor, who was in Benin at the weekend for a funeral, was booed at the airport by youths. His convoy was pelted with water sachet as security barred the youths from getting close. It was gathered that the barricade was to prevent any political meetings from holding in the house. Obaseki, who addressed reporters about the airport incident, said Oshomole should have informed the state government of his visit. Earlier on, Plus TV Africa spoke with Edo State APC Chairman Aslem Ojezwa to weigh in on this matter. Edo State has been in the news for almost all the wrong reasons, for lack of a better word. What do you make of these arguments between Oshomole and Obaseki and the people of Edo State?
Well, it's a very unfortunate situation that we have found ourselves. And the only comment one can make at this point is that the whole thing has been so poorly mismanaged. And what you see now is the result of arrogance, impunity, and perhaps an inflated ego of those concerned.
Both sides have accused each other of using thugs to, attack or disrupt activities. Sometimes it comes from this end and the other end. Now, the question generally is, how do we get to a point where, politics in Nigeria, not just Edo State, but generally speaking, would be devoid of the use of thugs?
Well, it has become a norm. Just look around you. Unfortunately, you have to understand that not every crowd of people who come to express themselves should be referred to as thugs. There are people who have very strong feelings about any issue. They reserve the right to come out and speak. It is their conduct that will determine whether they should be referred to as thugs or not. So I think you need to make that distinction. People have a right to express themselves. Sometimes they don't even have to be organized by anybody. If they feel strongly on any issue, they will come out and say so. So this has been very typical of Edo State right from 2008 to date.
Ideally, you want to see a collaboration between leaders, and those who have served the people in almost the same capacity. Now we're talking about, Oshomole at some point as the governor of the state, and Obaseki, who's currently the governor of that state. Why are we not seeing this collaboration between these two?
Well, I think clearly those who should provide leadership have actually joined the fray, and now we are looking for people from outside the state to arbitrate. Unfortunately, I just have to put this on the doorstep of Oshomole because he was the undisputed leader. Now he is supervising the dismemberment and the instability of the party in the state, when he should be the one putting everybody together. So he has to take responsibility. You know, it's just a pity that it has degenerated to this level. Unfortunately, I also have to say that the leadership at the national level left it a bit too late. This situation should not have been allowed to fester to this point. If they had nipped it in the bud, we probably would have gotten a better result.
Now
Let me also add that when Oshomole was governor for 8 years, he was not a perfect person. Those who did not support him at least tolerated him. Why can he not extend the same level of understanding with his successor who he helped to get into office? Why would he want to destroy that by which he himself benefited? These are the issues, and it's really unfortunate.
We understand that there are two factions of the APC in Edo State. Which one is the authentic one, so to speak? Which one do we recognize as the authentic one, for lack of a better word?
Of course, there is no faction. I am the state chairman of APC in Edo State. I went for Congress. What you see there, the pretenders you see claiming to be another faction, is a creation of Oshomole. So he is the one who will answer your question. He foisted this situation on us. APC in Edo State is intact. Majority of the state executive members are with me. Majority of the local government chairmen, 15 out of 18, are with me. Majority of the state working committee, they are with me. Oshomole is playing God. It is only the Almighty God that will say one with God is majority, not one with Oshomole. He is using a miserable lot to come and create instability in Edo State. And I can tell you that he will get the result in full measure. He cannot avoid responsibility.
All right, having said that, now what is the way forward in terms of achieving peace for both the people and, these leaders who should be leading by example, as you agree?
The way forward is for Oshomole to allow Obaseki to do his job. If you look at all they have said throughout this period, not one of them has said Obaseki is not performing as a governor. Nobody has complained that the citizens of Edo State are not happy with Obaseki. So what is the problem? That he's not sharing the patrimony to individuals to satisfy their greed. But it's this same Oshomole who told us that the resources of state is enough to meet the need of the people, but not the greed of the leaders. Should Obaseki continue to service the leaders at the expense of the people of Edo State? This is the issue. So the way forward is for Oshomole to allow Obaseki to do his job. He has a job at the national level. Let him concentrate on his job.
All right. Thank you so very much, Mr. Ojezwa, for sharing your thoughts with us. Still on national matters, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP and 192 concerned Nigerians have filed a lawsuit asking the Federal High Court in Abuja to restrain and stop Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila and all members of the House from spending an estimated 5.04 billion naira to buy 400 exotic cars for principal officers and members. SERAP is also seeking a court order to restrain and stop the National Assembly Service Commission from releasing any public funds to the House of Representatives to buy 400 Toyota Camry 2020 model cars estimated to cost at $35,130 each until an impact assessment of the spending on access to public services and goods like education, security, health, and clean water is carried out. On 5th February, the House of Reps passed a resolution that 400 Toyota Camry 2020 model cars be purchased as official vehicles for 360 members and other persons, including top management staff, chief of staff to the 2 presiding officers, as well as some of their special advisors and assistants. In a statement on Sunday by Kolawole, who is also Deputy Director of SERAP, the plaintiffs also maintained that it is illegal and unconstitutional for members of the House of Representatives to choose to buy expensive and exotic cars while encouraging Nigerians to tighten their belts and to patronize Nigerian brands. Now, Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, LASMA, has admonished public transport drivers, popularly known as Danfo, and other motorists in the state to adopt a change of attitude, warning that the authority will no longer be merciful to traffic law violators. The General Manager of LASMA, Olajide Oduyoye, gave the warning during one of Plus TV Africa's program, Ways, over the weekend.
How do we ensure that Danfo drivers actually obey the laws of the road and at the same time obey LASMA?
It's for the governor to say tonight and sack all of them tonight. I'm saying that with all sense of responsibility because these guys are not part of us. These guys are wearing a different kind of mantle. And that is why it's unfortunate that a lot of motorists, good citizens, see LASMA officers appearing to just let them be. That's because they have killed too many of our officers.
Wow.
These guys don't care. These guys have signed off. They don't particularly see, in my opinion, any future in the system. So whatever it is they're doing it for daily bread. And they don't care. They really do not care.
So there is no hope, or there is no way that...
No, the hope is twofold. For the government to make a pronouncement, but for the pronouncement to be accepted by the masses. Because you can say a lot of things from the government side, but if the people who are supposed to benefit from it retrospectively, they are the ones against it because they're thinking about so you've banned Kekemawa, you've banned whatever, so you're not banned Danfo.
That would be...
Do you understand what I'm saying? There are lots of passengers in Danfo that hurt the drivers to do some of the things that they do because they're thinking, I want to get them first. They enjoy the negativity. And when a LASMA officer wants to go there, they begin to abuse him. Or if there's an elderly woman in there, she comes out, you have parents at home, she comes out of a vehicle, she starts to kneel down on the road. So you could just let them be. Some people have accused and said, it's because LASMA officers have Danfo as well. But there's no law that says I cannot have that.
And the LASMA manager also added that the Lagos State government has deployed cameras across the state to track traffic law offenders.
No, some cameras are there and it's developing, so more cameras are coming on. And I don't know if you've noticed, some people are even getting penalty charge notice on their phones from when they've registered. Yes, when they've registered properly. Because even a lot of us, as citizens of Lagos, they tell you to come and register your vehicle. You choose not to register into your address. You go and register on the 14th floor of a 37th floor building, all right, with 500 companies that is there. You go and register your vehicle there because nobody is forcing you or coming to check So some things about the law needs to change. A lot of us are waiting to bypass legality deliberately because we're anticipating we're going to offend. So now even the camera catches you, but I don't know where your number is. In fact, you have 3 cars, you start changing number, fake number. If we begin to search all of us, even at this table, I don't even know who is who on this table too. No, it's true. Let everybody go. Let everybody go and check. So the cameras are there more. And then in terms of LASMA, the way we're going forward by this year, you're going to find a complete difference between whether we accost vehicles that have offended on the road, because we're introducing technology in terms of officers will not go around with a gadget. Number one, you to show the officers on TT, and then you capture the incidents, you capture the violation. You can do a still picture, you can do a video picture. It goes into a back-end system. As long as, because it captures the plate number and incidents, you send them a ticket, and they go and see the magistrate. And if you don't, you get sent a fine. If you don't pay the fine, no problem. We'll be waiting for you. Anywhere we find you, we'll go and grab the car from where it is, right? We impound the vehicle, you come and pay. If you don't pay and you manage to dodge and you move from Lagos, you go to Oshogbo, you go to Maiduguri, wherever you want to go, the day you want to renew your particulars and document, we'll be waiting for you.
Wow.
So things are likely to change in terms of how we behave. And people will be thinking, okay, last man, you can't catch me, whatever. But I'm just going to stand in one corner, I'm just going to be capturing you. And I'm targeting all those Range Rover drivers, the Land Cruisers, all those people that think that they are big people, I'm targeting them.
All right, there you have it. And still on national matters, tobacco control advocates have called for a more effective implementation of available tobacco control policies nationwide. They say government must take advantage of the benefits of tobacco control, increase internally generated revenue, and protect citizens from the effects of tobacco use. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, reports.
Available data says over 3.5 million persons have lost their lives to tobacco use in the past. Data further suggests that over 16,000 persons die yearly from tobacco use. Despite efforts to curb this growing trend, about 25,000 children aged between 10 to 14 years and another 7.4 million adults still use the substance daily. Tobacco control advocates, however, are optimistic that serious government worldwide can win the war against tobacco use. With this in mind, some advocates in Nigeria are calling on the federal government to move beyond gazetting Nigeria's National Tobacco Control Act 2015 and begin a radical implementation process.
There are a lot of researches, data to show that countries lose a lot in terms of what you spend on health related to tobacco use, and that tobacco control in itself brings a lot of economic benefits. So we expect that our nation is going to gain tremendously from this particular law.
When you have tobacco control policies effectively implemented, everyone is protected, so that because of course you know about the harms of tobacco, and it's not just the smoker who suffers diseases. All of us are at risk. So the effects of secondhand smoke. So when tobacco control policies are effectively implemented, everyone is protected and the whole country is healthy. And when everybody is healthy, then people can go about their business without having to go into hospitals and spend the little money that they have to cure diseases.
They say government must work toward providing adequate funds for the war against tobacco. They also want Nigeria's federal government to institute a committee that will work towards raising funds for an expensive anti-tobacco use campaign.
The Honorable Minister of Health should constitute another committee because he's the one so empowered by the Act to constitute a committee. Then it is the committee that will now take forward the conversations as regards tobacco control fund, because the tobacco control fund is supposed to be created to fund both the committee and every other tobacco control interventions in the country.
It's critical that funding is available to ensure sustainability of all tobacco control activities at all levels, at the federal, the state, and the local government. So the responsibility really is on the Federal Ministry of Health to work closely with the Federal Ministry of Finance to establish the Tobacco Control Fund as soon as possible.
With full belief that Nigeria can still win its anti-tobacco war, some of these tobacco control advocates are calling on government agencies responsible for the protection of citizens to rise up to the challenge and save Nigeria's future generation already getting hooked to tobacco use.
For us as CSOs, we will continue to monitor both the government and the tobacco industry's response to this new set of regulations. We know for one that the tobacco companies might want to challenge this regulation, and we just want to advise them because they're going to lose the way they've been losing all around the world. This is a piece of legislation that we're ready to defend as CSOs, as Nigerian people.
We're going to continue monitoring to make sure that the policies, the law and its policies are fully implemented in our country. And that's why we CSOs, as we move from campaigning for the passage of laws, we're now going into a different campaign to ensure that enforcement happens.
Idong Joseph, Plus TV Africa.
We'll take a short break. Coming up next is the business news. And in business, the Central Bank of Nigeria has said that it has not prohibited the acceptance of foreign currency cash deposits by deposit money banks. In a statement on Sunday, the Director of Corporate Communications, CBN, Isaac Okorafor, clarified the uncertainties surrounding the operations of domiciliary accounts in Nigeria. He said, and I quote, "The bank has not prohibited the acceptance of foreign currency cash deposits by deposit money banks. Only electronic fund transfers into domiciliary accounts can be transferred from such accounts, while cash deposits into such accounts can only be withdrawn in cash also." Okorafor therefore urged stakeholders and other interested parties to always endeavor to seek clarification on issues and avoid speculative tendencies which were detrimental to the financial systems. And that's it on business. And this hour, still ahead on Plus TV Africa News, is our roundup on entertainment and sports news. We will be back in a moment. And in the entertainment news, Pop Smoke's loved ones are set to hold a remembrance of the late rapper this weekend. According to reports, the private gathering will take place this Sunday, March the 1st, in his native Brooklyn. According to a close source, Pop Smoke's family is currently taking care of some final formal business and later take his body to New York soon, where they will hold the prayer and grave service. Pop Smoke died after being gunned down by marksmen in his Los Angeles home on Wednesday, February 19, 2020. He was then taken to the Cedar Sinai Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. That's it on entertainment. The best in sports coming up right after this break. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all.
We're a bit too selfish when it comes to, the climate and the society. And I think eventually Earth is going to say, you know what, I'm done.
Climate change, especially what we're experiencing now, some of them, most of them is actually man-made.
Climate change is both ways. It is natural occurrences that leads to climate change. We might be positive. And there are human activities.
So these days we have investors trying to say, well, if you are not practicing sustainable days or climate smart technology, we're not going to invest.
The state is supposed to manage the local government to deal with our waste. Anywhere in the world, the local government
has the power to
manage the waste because they are closer to the people.
Yes. The evidence of human-made climate change is overwhelming.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
And in sports, Tyson Fury's promoter Frank Warren has said Deontay Wilder's camp is likely to invoke their clause to stage a third fight between the pair. After their first fight was a split decision draw in December 2018, Fury dominated Wilder on Saturday night in Las Vegas, with the American's corner throwing in the towel in the 7th round. That has led to rumors of Fury fighting Anthony Joshua in a world heavyweight unification fight, but Wilder does have an option of another rematch. Wilder and his team has 30 days to make a decision on the potential trilogy fight. Saturday's humiliation was Wilder's first ever defeat, as he was bullied around the ring by an inspired and still unbeaten Fury. As in sports, Real Madrid youngster Rodrigo will be suspended for Sunday's Clásico with Barcelona after being sent off for goaling an opposition goalkeeper following a goal for Real's B team. It comes as an additional frustration for Zinedine Zidane, who is light on attacking options for the top-of-the-table clash after Eden Hazard's injury. Rodrigo scored the solo goal for Real Castella's team in a third-tier fixture against SS Reyes, finishing with a cheeky dink beyond the goalkeeper. The Reyes goalkeeper didn't take kindly to it and confronted Rodrigo as he casually walked back onto the pitch. At that point, the 19-year-old started celebrating right in the keeper's face, earning himself a second yellow card and a dismissal. The keeper wasn't punished for his provocation. And that's it on Sports Update on Plus TV Africa. I'm Udoka Njoko.
Thank you, Udoka Njoko, with the sports news. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back again with more stories making the headlines. Join us again. I am Amaka Okoye saying have yourselves a great day.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Event is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. Right, no question. He's a living legend.
God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity. No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event
on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Hello and welcome to 101 on Plus TV Africa. My name is Elsie Godwin. We're 101 with the serial entrepreneur Edose Ohen. He's the founder of Alpha Dando, Wireless NG, Glazed Donuts Cafe, among other businesses. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. You're most welcome.
Okay, so you left IT to open a donut shop. How did that start?
So yes, I did leave IT.
But since you're back to IT now, but I want us to start from the beginning.
Very beginning.
Why did you do that? What was the move about?
So what happened was, for about 4.5 years after I graduated, I worked in the oil and gas sector. In about 2012, I was challenged to come to Nigeria for the first time. So it was around November for Thanksgiving. And when I came to Nigeria, I realized for the first time that this is where I actually wanted to be. Because growing up where I grew up, you don't really see a lot of black people in positions of power. You grow up in a very multicultural setting. So when I came here, I felt at home. So when I went back, and about 2 weeks later, I quit my job.
Okay, before you carry on that story, is it just about the multicultural thing, or did you see a business opportunity?
So I saw a business opportunity. When I got here, the first thing I remember doing is like when I came out the airplane, I walked into the airport and it was extremely hot.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my God. And when I got my luggage, we drove from the airport to a job site. And it took like 6.5 hours. It was like 2012. It was a long time. And the entire time I was trying to get on Twitter to tweet about my experience. And the problem was I could never get a signal.
Wow.
So I was asking myself, oh my God, like what's going on with the internet? And I didn't really understand the deficiencies at the time, but I realized that maybe I can try to address that space and move into IT. And you know, when we went to Ekboma, we went to the farm, and I saw that we had some palm kernels and we had fruits, and I'm like, why not jump into farming as well? So I went back and I weighed my options. I figured being here will be a better opportunity for me.
Okay, so when you resigned, what happened?
When I resigned, I was actually in the middle of my MBA program, and it was kind of like the week before. I was in my marketing class, and we were learning about segmentation strategy and things of that nature. And I went home, and I always used to watch the show on CNBC. It was called How I Made My Millions. And I was watching the show, and there was this show about these guys in a place called Seattle that were creating like these gourmet donuts. And I was like, what is a gourmet donut? And when I left watching the show, I decided, I went on Google and I was searching for Top Pot Donuts and gourmet donuts in Houston or in the stateside. And I realized there was like this distinct trend for like gourmet donuts. So I told myself, why not be the first person in the South to actually do it? So that kind of all happened at the same time. So it was like a perfect storm. I wanted to start a donut shop. I wanted to go back to Nigeria, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Well, you started a donut shop. What does it feel like to have a running business outside the shores of Nigeria now? It's where in the U.S. again?
It's in Houston, Texas.
It's in Houston, Texas. So you are running this business and you started it first there.
Yes, the first business.
I mean, we know what our perception is like over there when you hear I'm a Nigerian. How has it been running that business in that environment?
Well, no, I think that it's, Nigerians are very highly regarded. I think if we look at the, and I don't know if this is a true fact, but I think it is, one of the most educated ethnic groups in the States are Nigerians. So generally speaking, it's not really a negative connotation. It's just that most Nigerians don't go into making pastries. What you have are doctors, lawyers, and engineers. But starting the business was pretty interesting because first and foremost, my products are a little expensive. You know, it's not 29 cents or 39 cents. It's $1 or $2, right? So what we were doing is we faced the first challenge of trying to recreate the market and tell people that a pastry product can be a premium good, similar to like the cupcake. Like the cupcake then was selling for like $4, but people had already accepted the fact that this cupcake is a premium product, right? So it was a challenge not being a Nigerian per se. It was a challenge trying to convince the market that a pastry can be a premium product as well.
Okay, so I'm looking at it from the many news of fraud that have greeted us on media lately, from the younger ones to the older ones, and they keep telling you this news is affecting the way Nigerians are accepted outside of the shores of Nigeria, especially outside of the shores of Africa. So you being someone who goes out a lot and come back, how would you say it really affects your brand or your personality, or have you been profiled?
I think there's always going to be negative connotations associated with people in general, especially groups of people. It just so happens that it tends to be a lot of fraud associated with Nigerians. There's no way around it, but instead of focusing on the fact that there is a connotation of fraud, what we try to do is focus on the fact that there are a lot of us, more than a few of us, that are actually doing things the right way. So what we try to project is a positive image, specifically through social media, of what we are actually doing. So people can actually see that not everybody does fraud, and it's only a few people that are actually doing fraud, because there's many Nigerians doing great things all across the world. You have doctors, you have nurses, you have lawyers, you have engineers, you have scientists, you have so much going on. You have reporters, you have philanthropists, you have entrepreneurs, you have so many different people doing good things, so we can kind of take the focus away from the people who are doing the bad things and focus more on people who are actually doing good things. So that's what we try to do.
Okay. So, how do you run all these businesses? From Alpha Dando to Alpha O&O to Wireless NG, Glitch Donuts. How do you manage them all?
God.
Okay, so that's a typical Nigerian answer, but how do you manage them?
No, honestly, I think that what I've been able to understand over the last 5 years, I think 2013 to 2017, 18 were the most difficult years for me because I've never really immersed myself in starting my own business, and I never had any experience with completely managing, creating, and owning my own business. So it was very taxing emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, because during that time, I gained like 50 pounds. I was up 24/7. I was trying to understand multiple markets. I was trying to deal with business in the States. I was trying to build business in Nigeria, and I was trying to do everything myself, and it didn't work. So what I had to do was actually build a very strong team. And to answer your question, without going on a tangent, is the fact that I have a very strong team. And the people that I work with, because we are all teammates, they're very good at what they do. They believe in my vision, and they have passion. So it allows me to be able to focus on different areas, and focus on growth in different sectors, and explore investing in different areas, because when they are part of the team, they actually take it and they own it and they help me grow it.
All right, let's go on a very quick break, but when we come back, we'll carry on this conversation. We'll be right back. Welcome back. So before we went on that quick break, you were saying something about you having to work hard to understand the Nigerian market and then understand the market over there. What would you say is the significant difference?
Fundamentally, two completely different markets.
Okay.
I would say that, when you're looking at, let's say Houston, for example, what I am selling is going to be perceived a lot differently there than here, for example. At the time, I couldn't think about bringing a glazed donut and selling a donut here for, what would that be, the equivalent of 5,000 naira. Nobody's going to buy one donut for 5,000 naira.
Okay.
Right? But I had to convince people in Houston that it's worth it. Right? And I was also open, Glaze in Houston's open 24/7. And at the time, it was a difficult thing to be open 24/7 here because we have mixers, we have blenders, we have ovens, we have fryers, we have a whole kitchen, and it's always operating. And the cost of doing that here would have been significantly more because we would not be able to solely depend on the power system. So from an infrastructure perspective, you have to have two different strategies to be able to succeed.
Let's talk about Wireless NG. What is that about? Because I saw you put up something about it now being, I think, exclusively for West Africa, right?
Oh, no. So what's happening is Wireless NG is what at first it started off as the internet service provider in Benin City, right? We started that in like 2015, and it was pretty small. We had about 10 customers at the time, just local customers. And over the past few years, we kind of treated it like a small, family-oriented organization, but we've experienced some significant growth over the last 2 to 3 years. We're at about 750 customers, and we're shooting for about 1,000 before the end of February next year. And as such, we've tried to restructure it to be a more corporate, organized business. And we're kind of split it into two different divisions. So we have Wireless NG, the enterprise side, and Wireless NG, the ISP side. And Wireless NG, the enterprise side, now has exclusive rights for certain products from ViewSonic to sell in the region, like smart TVs, interactive touch panels, to facilitate collaboration, whiteboarding, annotation, and smart desk, so you can have teams working together to be able to utilize technology to be able to improve processes. So the exclusive is just for certain products in the region.
Okay, so your father was instrumental in you forming, or you being interested in information technology. Now, you're a dad too, right? Yeah. And I think parenting is one subject people tend to not talk about. You just find yourself in there, right? So considering the relationship you had with your father and how you were brought up, and now that you have your own children, what would you say your role should be in their lives to determine what their career path will be?
You know, my dad continues to be a great man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he was one of the most instrumental figures in my life. And I attribute pretty much all of my success to him and my mom's prayers.
Mm-hmm.
So both of the combination of the two. But my dad realized at a young age what he was able to look at all of us as kids and have an idea as to where we could possibly succeed even before we knew it. Both my sisters are anesthesiologists. They're really good doctors, and my youngest sister is a specialist in special education, and now she's a beauty guru. And my father was able to see that then. And he kind of stirred us all, without pushing us and saying we have to do something, he kind of provided the tools and the paths for us to be able to go in the directions that he saw us succeeding in,
Mm-hmm.
and let us choose to accept it. And I want to implement that same model, because to me, I think that becoming a dad, I have a daughter, and she's everything to me. I can see the type of love that my father had for me. And in that love, I think it's important to understand that I want the best for her.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to do the same thing my father did for her, to be able to at least provide her with the tools she needs to succeed in whatever path she can go. And if I identify something that she'll be really good in, and you know, she at 3 years old, 4 years old, 9 years old, 10-year-old, you won't really understand what you want to do, but I can put her in the path like my father did for me and let her grow in it. Because I didn't know anything about robotics or programming or development then, but he saw that I had interest in tools and putting things together. So he gave me a C++ book, gave me robots to build, and
Mm-hmm.
I just kept going with it. So I want to do the same thing.
Okay, you had your experience with the internet providers. I mean, that was what prompted you to see opportunities in Nigeria, right? When you first got in 2012.
2020.
Yes, and now I would say it is better, but
Better.
people are complaining, especially with the cost, and they tell you, oh, I think it's expensive, and even when you buy unlimited, it doesn't feel like unlimited. So what would you say we have not gotten right, because it's a field you play in? What would you say the network providers are not getting right?
So I would say that, and this is important to note, that for the speed and the lack of unlimited, everybody should try wireless NG.
Okay.
So we solved the problem, right? Just joking. But I think, generally speaking, I think that from the time, since 2012 until now, I think we've had significant improvements across the ICT sector, whether it's browsing, internet, whether it's communications, video conferencing, whether it's tools. I think we've seen a lot of growth. But I think that, of course, there's some infrastructure issues that, providers have to work around. There's some power issues that providers have to work around. So I think that although everybody is trying their very best, we still have room for growth. That's why companies like, smaller companies like Wireless NG are trying to come up with disruptive technologies to be able to fill in that gap and take advantage of some of these deficiencies, because if there were no deficiencies, we wouldn't exist.
So you're saying their deficiencies,
of course,
are caused by the fact that we have infrastructure and power issues in Nigeria?
I say that the deficiencies are caused by the fact that there's some areas that we can't solve problems without some things in place, right? I mean, it's kind of expensive sometimes to run a tower 24/7 on a generator, and it's kind of expensive sometimes to invest in like solar panels and things of that nature. So I think that we need, there's more, we need lower cost ICT solutions that run on less power, like our towers, to fill in those gaps. I mean, because infrastructure issues can be solved with entrepreneurial ideas, and that's anywhere you go. Doesn't matter if it's here or in America.
So are Nigerians expecting too much or demanding too much when it comes to data services?
I think anybody in the world is demanding too much when it comes to data services, because it doesn't matter if you're in Nigeria, it doesn't matter if you're in the US, it doesn't matter if you're in the UK. Everybody wants bandwidth. Like all we do 24/7 is browse. So no matter how much bandwidth you give somebody, they'll be able to consume it. So I think there's a healthy balance, because bandwidth now can be, for an individual person, can be unlimited, right? It doesn't. You can use it for video conferencing, you can use it for Netflix, you can use it for YouTube, you can use it for browsing, you can use it for so many different things. So I don't think it's demanding too much. I think it's just that everything we're doing now is online. So.
Okay, let's go on another break. When we come back, we'll definitely have Advocacy on here right here with us. Welcome back. This is Plus TV Africa. Earlier on, you mentioned the TV show you followed.
Yes.
And it inspired you. Now let's talk about our content consumption and the social media age. How important would you rate the kind of content we consume?
You know, I have mixed feelings about social media and online content.
Okay.
Because I think that once upon a time, I think mass media kind of curated what we received. And social media came in because people wanted to be able to get real-time information from people, from actual people, from independent sources. But I think what also ended up happening is that a lot of times we have people curating their own lives and curating their own experiences and making everything perfect. So for the average person, when you're on social media, you're looking around, you're seeing what everybody else is doing and not really understanding the reality of it. So you're aspiring to achieve something that's not really sustainable, right? So I think that filtering and understanding sometimes, not everything you see online is real.
Okay.
It's helpful. So I think what you consume is important because you're going to set subconsciously expectations based on what you see. And if you see this perfect life and this perfect world and this perfect everything and nothing's ever wrong, then you run into problems. And whenever you run into an issue where you know, there's some type of negativity that you face. So I think it's important for us to understand that sometimes things are curated, right? And people who are successful or people who are doing well or just average, everyday people like me should be able to tell the world that, look, not everything's always perfect. You should be able to see real time, like the struggles, right? You see what it took to get to where you're going, not just the end result. Because if you just see the good, like you focus, the people will have unrealistic expectations as to how fast it will be or how quick it will take for you to get there. So I think what you consume is important because if you're always consuming things that are not really based on reality or curated, then how can you compete against that?
All right. The youths, do you think they're doing enough?
I think being a millennial myself, I think that doing enough is relative, right? I'm a millennial, and I'm not sure, I can't remember what the generation is after me, but I do understand that as a millennial and the generation after us, we require a different type of development and instruction, right? What we're starting to see out of the social media age, I think, is you're seeing more creatives. I think that there was an article I read the other day about millennials and the younger group participating in the gig economy, the Ubers of the world and things of that nature, because that's where they're going. So I think it's not necessarily they're not doing enough or they're doing too much. It's just the fact that I think that when you look at dealing with millennials and this next generation, we have to look at how to interact with us and them because they require a different type of guidance.
It requires a different type of instruction, like you said. We are in the fourth industrial revolution, and some will tell you they're scared of the jobs humans would normally do being taken away by robots. Do you think that would pose real threats, especially when we know that we still battle unemployment?
Well, I don't know. I don't really think that we should be concerned with that because I think that there's still going to be jobs that robots or artificial intelligence can't do. I think what you're going to get with artificial intelligence is the same thing we're getting now, right? You have these massive algorithms that are mining all this data to be able to project to us what we want to buy or what they think we want to buy, right? And I think there's a fine line between what we want to buy and what people are pushing us to buy, but that's another point. But I think that if artificial intelligence is going to eliminate jobs and we subscribe to that belief, then if I'm creating a product or I'm offering a service, then who's going to consume it? Because ultimately the basis of business is to buy and sell, right? So if all the jobs are gone, where's the income that people are going to be buying going to come from? Right? So I I don't think that's the approach. I think it's meant to be able to create efficiencies, but it can't be to replace all the jobs, and it won't replace all the jobs, because if nobody's able to generate any income, what happens to the rest of the world?
Okay, but there's a list of jobs that are going around, and they'll tell you, if you love your children, don't have them be part of these jobs, because in the next 5 to 10 years, it should be irrelevant.
What type of jobs?
I mean, like accounting, and tell you there could be just an app that would get this job done without having someone or too many people. Even if you have someone to put in the figures, you don't need too many people getting the job done. So looking at that now, what would you advise people to impact in their children to be able to have a place in this new world? Let me put it that way.
I think that I always welcome new worlds, because they offer new challenges, and I think that it's not that I don't know, but I don't think it's that the jobs will be lost. I think it's just that we as individuals just have to become better, right? An accountant now is just like, I believe in competition. I welcome competition. I love competition, because to me, competition makes us and me as an individual a better person. So I think what you're going to get with that is more competition. So I think that what we need to do is prepare our children to be more efficient, smarter, faster, quicker than everybody else, right?
Okay.
Because if you want to be an accountant, just because I would take that list and I would show it to my child and I'll say, hey, my baby, my beautiful baby girl, look, they're telling you that a few years from now that you can't be an accountant. If this is what you want to be, you're going to prove them wrong. And she's going to work twice as hard to be able to be smarter than any algorithm or any machine, because she is good at what she does. I think that the human element can never be taken. We've been able to come from where we were many eons ago until in this advanced society now, because we have this insatiable desire to continue to achieve. And achievement is what we are. So I don't think we're going to allow any machines to be able to eliminate all our jobs. We'll just become more efficient, because ultimately somebody has to design the systems, right? And if there's a problem, and if you're submitting your tax return and somebody queries it, the robot's not going to answer it. You need somebody to defend it for you. So those jobs are always going to be there. To me, it's just we just got to get more efficient and smarter.
Okay, so you were outside the country and you came back, then you saw opportunities. But we have people here who have decided to say, you know what, I need to leave, or I don't think I'm going to make it in life. What would you say is the difference between you and that type of person, and would you encourage people just leaving the country?
I think Nigeria is the most beautiful country in the world. I think that our cultures, our people, our desires, our dreams are phenomenal. And some people, everybody's entitled to do what they want to do, right? Some people just may not like it. I mean, it doesn't matter what country you live in. Some people just want to leave, right, and experience something different. Like, we have free spirits, but I think that there's so many opportunities here. I think that there's so much growth remaining here. I think that the future is here, right? I think that Nigeria is a place that nobody should leave, right? Because there's so much left to do. And I think it's good sometimes to step outside of a situation to get a different perspective. But when you come back to it, you come with that perspective and you're able to see things with a fresh set of eyes. So I think it's important. I mean, I can't tell anybody to stay or leave, but I would definitely say for individuals who are interested in expanding and growing, especially Nigerians in the diaspora, it's a beautiful place to come back to. I mean, it's not a simple thing. You're not just going to come into any environment and take advantage of opportunities and grow. But I mean, it's a challenge. And me personally, I live for challenges. So if you're a risk taker and somebody that likes to be competitive, then why not be here?
Okay, so before I let you go, what advice would you give the younger ones? I mean, you're young and you're doing well. And we hope to have more young, successful people that we can project to say, these are Nigerians. Nigerians are not fraudsters. Nigerians are not in the environment to cause any havoc, right? Yeah. So what advice would you give someone looking up to you to say, I want to be this, or I want to be bigger? What would you say?
I mean, you can do it. See, I am more inspired by my family and my team, because I've some people on my team have been through some interesting situations, and they've come from some difficult situations, and they found their way out of it, and that drives me. And it for anybody who is looking to grow and to be better. I think it's very important to remain positive and understand that it's possible. But again, in this society and global culture, not isolated to anywhere individually, things don't happen fast. We're used to having very instant gratifications because, you know, it's the system, right? We need affirmations yesterday for something that we post today, right? And if we don't get that, we don't feel fulfilled, and we feel depressed and we feel sad. But I think that success is never a definitive thing. It's a constant thing, because success in one moment is not success in another moment, right? You can be successful today and tomorrow things can fall apart. You have to continuously be successful. So you have to prepare yourself for a journey. And while you're young, you have this opportunity to completely build yourself, to develop your internal workings, because physically it's always good to be healthy. I mean, I got really, really fat. Like I gained 50 pounds, so I was totally unhealthy for a while, but I had to refix myself. But what was important is what was inside of me never changed. So in the moments in which I found myself like in a complete disaster 24/7, I was able to hold on to what I had built over the many years to be able to prepare me through it. So while you're starting your journey, especially when you're young, you shouldn't be looking to win right now. You should be looking to prepare yourself, to prepare your internal working, your mind, your soul, your spirit, your emotions, to be able to control yourself, so when you reach that pinnacle that you're trying to achieve, you can continue to push yourself to exceed past that. And it's, like I said, success is not something that just happens. And some people get lucky. But the problem is we can never focus on the anomalies. We always want to focus within 1 to 2 standard deviations from the mean. And most of us are not just going to get lucky. And luck to me is a very interesting term, but we have to earn it. And it takes time. It takes going to, I know some people say school means nothing, but to me it means everything, because the time you spend in developing yourself in school, developing your mind, it's not just what you're learning from the books or you're learning from your teachers. It's the social interactions, it's the growth, it's the understanding how to survive, it's the struggle. Like, it's important to have a struggle because it prepares you for when you're going to struggle in the future. Like, even if you're super successful, you have everything you need, and you put in an environment where you're operating a business, you're going to struggle. And if you've never experienced how to survive past that, it's going to be tough for you then. And it's better to fail a lot earlier than when you're there. So just time. Take your time.
Take your time. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
All right, I've been chatting with Didce Onhe, who is a serial entrepreneur. You can catch this conversation and all our exclusive content online by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Plus TV Africa. I'm Elsie Godwin saying thank you for watching and see you later.
All right, country people, I greet you on top this 0 o'clock when Mr. Nate join us for news on the hour for Plus TV Africa. This is the Toronto episode. I want to give my name and I promise. Nero. They saw got preso Muhammadu Buhari don't say, but they no sweet am for the way Boko Haram take the go bege Gatida inside Adamawa State. And they can do better and give the families of the victim for 1 year. So say talk pan Malam Gabashew Edo inside Abuja on Sunday. The president say they're not going to leave any part of Nigeria for the bad people hand. And they say this big for soft target when say the terrorists do now signs of frustration because he administrate to do plenty things to weaken Boko Haram military power and to invade and hold Niger territory. As they take on, he says since he administrates that, they don't do every to frustrate Boko Haram waka to invade and occupy Niger territories. And Buhari say Niger will see strong campaign for the coming week to defeat Boko Haram once and for all. Before Niger head of state and national shemo of Niger praise, General Yakubu Gowon, retired on Sunday, he lead the group for one prayer rally for peace to reign for the Northeast zone and Niger at large. As they yarn for the one-day prayer rally when we said the Niger praise Northeast zone do for Bauchi with the team, the Lord of Hosts is with us. Gowon say, why did they do the prayer rally now for the country, most especially for these Wahala times? He say they join body from all the northeastern zone, gather body for Bauchi to call Baba God, so that they fit pray for Baba God mercies and blessings for Nigeria as go on take care. He say this one na to appease the political, social, and economic betterness of Bauchi State and the whole of the northeast zone as they face wahala of terrorism, insurgencies, and plenty kind of insecurity and criminal waka. One before Oga Legal Public Affairs of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Samuel Kwanko, he don't talk in mind for the way when we say the federal government, not that they talk anything for the threat when we say the Boko Haram Oga Abubakar Shekau, he give Oga Prezo Muhammadu Buhari. They see some of the threat give the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Isa Ibrahim Pantami, and Kwanko's talk for one interview say he dey worry in mind though, and he do this year before in 10 go finish on Friday. Kwanko say he dey pain am, but he no surprise say the Boko Haram Oga Abubakar Shekau, he go release one video when he say take threat and say he go attack the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, and the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Isa Ibrahim Pantami. The Oga Kpatakpata of the Progressive Governors Forum, Salihu Lukman, for one memo when the Sengo made the chief BC Akande led All Progressive Congress National Reconciliation Committee. He don't talk saying that the APC National Shemo Adams Oshomole, now they cause the katakata for the party. As the document when the Sengo made the talk people for Abuja take care on Sunday, they say the PGFDG, he say when we say the APC come on board, they reduce the wahala of by force of candidate for Bessie head. But for the 2015 election, they say he pained them, say last, hold that bit, can they enter the head of these people. And Lukman say as an office of the Palava when say join the management of 2015 election, and also more wahala can show face for 2019 election. He said this Palava when we say they plenty, don't make them lose election for Adamawa, Bauchi, Oyo, Sokoto, and Zamfara states. Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki on Sunday say he day for a right, say the All Progressive Congress APC National Shemo Adams Oshomole is supposed to let her know before a show area. They say you'd shout for the head of the before governor when say enter Benin for the airport for the weekend for one burial when say they do. They say they stone a convoy with pure water sachet as security stop the youth, made them no reach where a day. They say the barricade now to stop any political meetings, make it not happen for the house. Obaseki when we say give talk people for waiting happen for the airport say Oshomole for tell the state government say they come before a show face. Socio-economic right and accountability project SERAP and 192 concerned Nigeria people, they don't file one lawsuit as they tell the Federal High Court inside Abuja to come and stop the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, and all members of the House of Representatives, made them not use the 5.04 billion naira to take buy 400 big motor them for their principal officers and members. Serap still say they want court order to stop the National Assembly Service Commission, made them not release any public money to the House of Representatives to buy 400 Toyota Camry 2020 model cars for them. He said it will cost $35,130 each until they torchlight the spending for the access to public service and goods like education, security, and health and clean water matter. Say may they no release the money. On the 5th of February, the House of Representatives passed one resolution say they won't buy 400 Toyota Camry 2020 motor as an official motor for 360 members and other people. When BCA say top management staff they join, chief of staff to the 2 presiding officers join, and some of their special advisors and assistants they still join. For one statement when BCA Oluware and when BCA still be the deputy Oga of Serap do on Sunday, the plaintiffs still say it is illegal and unconstitutional for the members of the House of Representatives to say they won't buy big motor from outside when BCA that they encourage Nigeria people when they tighten their bet and to buy Nigeria brands. Lagos State Traffic Management Authority last month don't shook mouth for the public transport drivers when say that they call downfall and other people when say that they drive motor for the state made they do well as the summer one say the authority not go take any year waka when say they take the 4 traffic law hand. The general manager of LASMA, Olajide Oduyoye, is some the one for One Plus TV Africa program when say they call Ways for the Weekend.
How do we ensure that downfall drivers actually obey the laws of the road and at the same time obey LASMA?
It's for the governor to say tonight and sack all of them tonight. I'm saying that with all sense of responsibility, because these guys are not part of us. These guys are wearing a different kind of mantle. And that is why it's unfortunate that a lot of motorists, good citizens, see LASMA officers appearing to just let them be. That's because they have killed too many of our officers.
Wow.
These guys don't care. These guys have signed off. They don't particularly see, in my opinion, any future in the system. So whatever it is they're doing it for daily bread. And they don't care. They really do not care.
So there is no hope, or there is no way that...
No, the hope is twofold. For the government to make a pronouncement, but for the pronouncement to be accepted by the masses. Because you can say a lot of things from the government side, but if the people who are supposed to benefit from it retrospectively, they are the ones against it because they're thinking about so you've banned Kekemawa, you've banned whatever, so you're not banned Danfo.
That would be...
Do you understand what I'm saying? There are lots of passengers in Danfo that hurt the drivers to do some of the things that they do because they're thinking, I want to get on first. They enjoy the negativity. And when a LASMA officer wants to go there, they begin to abuse him. Or if there's an elderly woman in there, she comes out, you have parents at home, she comes out of the vehicle, she starts to kneel down on the road. So you could just let them be. Some people have accused and said, it's because LASMA officers have Danfo as well. But there's no law that says I can.
The last month, Auguste say Lagos State government, they don't put cameras for the state to track people when we say that they fall traffic law hand.
No, some cameras are there, and it's developing, so more cameras are coming on. And I don't know if you've noticed, some people are even getting penalty charge notice on their phones from when they've registered. Yes, when they've registered properly. Because even a lot of us, as citizens of Lagos, they tell you to come and register your vehicle. You choose not to register into your address. You go and register on the 14th floor of a 37th floor building. All right, with 500 companies that is there. You go and register your vehicle there because nobody is forcing you or coming to check So some things about the law needs to change. A lot of us are waiting to bypass legality deliberately because we're anticipating we're going to offend. So now even the camera catches you, but I don't know where your number is. In fact, you have 3 cars, you start changing number, fake number. If we begin to search all of us, even at this table, I don't even know who is who on this table too. No, it's true. Let everybody go. Let everybody go and check. So the cameras are there more. And then in terms of LASMA, the way we're going forward by this year, you're going to find a complete difference between whether we accost vehicles that have offended on the road, because we're introducing technology in terms of officers will not go around with a gadget. Number one, to show the officers on TT, and then you capture the incidents, you capture the violation. You can do a still picture, you can do a video picture. It goes into a back-end system. As long as, because it captures the plate number and incidents, you send them a ticket and they go and see the magistrate. And if you don't, you get sent a fine. If you don't pay the fine, no problem. We'll be waiting for you. Anywhere we find you, we'll go and grab the car from where it is. Right? We impound the vehicle, you come and pay. If you don't pay and you manage to dodge and you move from Lagos, you go to Oshogbo, you go to Maiduguri, wherever you want to go, the day you want to renew your particulars and document, we'll be waiting for you. So things are likely to change in terms of how we behave. And people will be thinking, okay, LASMA, you can't catch me, whatever. But I'm just going to stand in one corner, I'm just going to be capturing you. And I'm targeting all those Range Rover drivers, the Land Cruisers, all those people that think that they are big people, and target.
Tobacco Control Advocate don't call for more better work of available tobacco control policies nationwide. And they say government must take advantage of what they fit get from tobacco control and carry internally generated revenue go up and still protect citizens from wahala of tobacco use. Our talk person, Idong Joseph, he gave us more yarn.
Available data says over 3.5 million persons have lost their lives to tobacco use in the past. Data further suggests that over 16,000 persons die yearly from tobacco use. Despite efforts to curb this growing trend, about 25,000 children aged between 10 to 14 years and another 7.4 million adults still use the substance daily. Tobacco Control Advocate, however, are optimistic that serious government worldwide can win the war against tobacco use. With this in mind, Some advocates in Nigeria are calling on the federal government to move beyond gazetting Nigeria's National Tobacco Control Act 2015 and begin a radical implementation process.
There are a lot of researches, data to show that countries lose a lot in terms of what you spend on health related to tobacco use, and that tobacco control in itself brings a lot of economic benefits. So we expect that our nation is going to gain tremendously from this particular law.
When you have tobacco control policies effectively implemented, everyone is protected, so that because of course you know about the harms of tobacco, and it's not just the smoker who suffers diseases. All of us are at risk. So the effects of secondhand smoke. So when tobacco control policies are effectively implemented, everyone is protected and the whole country is healthy. And when everybody is healthy, then people can go about their business without having to go into hospitals and spend the little money that they have to cure diseases.
They say government must work toward providing adequate funds for the war against tobacco. They also want Nigeria's federal government to institute a committee that will work towards raising funds for an expensive anti-tobacco use campaign.
The Honorable Minister of Health should constitute another committee, because he's the one so empowered by the Act to constitute a committee. Then it is the committee that will now take forward the conversations as regards tobacco control fund, because the tobacco control fund is supposed to be created to fund both the committee and every other tobacco control interventions in the country.
It's critical that funding is available to ensure sustainability of all tobacco control activities at all levels, at the federal, the state, and the local government. So the responsibility really is on the Federal Ministry of Health to work closely with the Federal Ministry of Finance to establish the Tobacco Control Fund as soon as possible.
With full belief that Nigeria can still win its anti-tobacco war, some of these tobacco control advocates are calling on government agencies responsible for the protection of citizens to rise up to the challenge and save Nigeria's future generation already getting hooked to tobacco use.
For us as CSOs, we will continue to monitor both the government and the tobacco industry's response to this new set of regulations. We know for one that the tobacco companies might want to challenge this regulation, and we just want to advise them, because they're going to lose the way they've been losing all around the world. This is a piece of legislation that we're ready to defend as CSOs, as Nigerian people.
We're going to continue monitoring to make sure that the policies, the law and its policies are fully implemented in our country. And that's why we CSOs, as we move from campaigning for the passage of laws, we're now going into a different campaign to ensure that enforcement happens.
Idong Joseph, Plus TV Africa.
And I go remember say it don't reach 3 weeks since the Lagos State government banned Okada and Keke. Plenty people don't talk put for the ban, and Irene Obane a day for the street to see how Lagosians they manage their life as Keke and Okada not there again.
Since the 1st of February 2020, the Lagos State government put a ban on the use of keke maruas and motorcycles on major roads, highways, and local government areas within the state. Lagosians have, however, reacted differently to the ban of these major alternative sources of transportation within the state.
We are talking about the efficiency of keke napep and marua, Okada. The deficiency on these two means of transportation, do we consider it? No. 1, for robbery. 2, accident. A lot of hold up and many other things. But we only consider the aspects that concern us about the means of transportation to get to where we are going in time. But the deficiency, the people who are a victim of the deficiency, we never support them coming back to Lagos.
Them banned Keke Marua. We have been trekking for some time. I trek from TBS down to my bus stop at Babich Police Barrack, and which is not fair. Sometimes I back my daughter, and we trek from Babich Police Barrack to Odeku, which is not okay. the government should please put head together and help us and do something about it. They should please and call back the keke marwa. At least it's not Okada. We don't need bike, but we need keke marwa. We cannot do without keke marwa.
You can't just wake up in the morning and just ban the keke marwa like that. Look at the ways of some of those handicapped. They are making ways of making their money, making daily of eating, and look at what they are doing now. I take down from Balade down to this Solomon. Look at the uncertainty because of what marwa.
One of the former military government created the marwa to this Lagos State. Look at now, if you want to come from Balade, before they are taking 15 naira. Now, if you enter this one now, it's charging 100 naira from Balade to Solomon here. Sometimes you don't see any motor at all to get here, which is very wrong. If this Okada, I'm not aware, that one is okay because it's just about 2 legs. But for what marwa? For what? I don't even know reason why they ban marwa. For me, I don't know what that.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State government is also trying to ensure the utilization of the waterways. This is what Lagosians had to say.
I am working at Apapa, and to get to Apapa, everybody knows how tedious the road is. To me, with waterways, it makes it easier for me to get to my destination, to my office in time. I get to my office in time. But even if we operate on Okada, before they cancel Okada, if I take Okada from here to Apapa, it's 1,500 naira. Coming back is 1,500 naira. How much is my salary? But waterways is 200 naira to Apapa. I believe that one, if they can, not everywhere cover with water in Lagos, but if they can get a solution to other areas, I believe it's far better.
Someone like me, I'm very scared walking through water, so it's not easy. It's not everybody that can. Even in the water transportation, is the rate, the amount is high. It's not like the keke marwa and the bike, where you can use 15 naira, 100 naira. You've got into a balance, you come back with the same 15 or 100 naira. So like the water waves now, transportation is like 700 naira, 800 naira per head. So it's not easy.
In a whole, Lagosians expect that the Lagos State government come up with alternative sources of transportation which are very affordable for the people. For Plus TV Africa, Irene Ubani.
All right, the news will continue after the chicken break. Mona, no go anywhere. As the preliminary result from the Electoral Commission on Monday take day, they say Togo President Faure he don't win the re-election with 72% of the votes. When we say make him day 15-year-old and one family work, when we say start, when we say Papa take power for 1967 coup. Even with the plenty wahala, we not go agree when we say people they do make a step down. One opposition don't struggle to launch one campaign to come out Gnasingbe from power for the smallest West Africa country of 8 million people. Lesotho Prime Minister Thomas Tabane show face for court on Monday to hear charges of the killing of a before wife. The suspect 80-year-old Tabane say he joined hand for the killing of a before wife, Lipolelo, when he said they should die for June 2017, when it be 2 days before he take office for a second time as Prime Minister, and 2 months before he marry a new wife, Messiah. They don't still charge the Messiah Tabane 42 say he joined for the kili, and police suspect say na she ordered the assassin to do the work. There are two don't say their hand not deal, and they don't say they go do hearing for the Tabane for charges on Friday, but he goes South Africa for waiting people that when we say that they work with him, saying a medical appointment and he go for. He don't say he go resign for the end of July, and plenty members of his own All Basotho Convention ABC party, they don't they tell him make it come out since he come out from the political game. All right, the next one, now foreign news. And onto foreign, the same Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad office on Monday talk say he don't drop one letter of resignation give the country king. as he leave the government for road as plenty talk of say he want form one new governing coalition full everywhere. The fate of Malaysian ruling coalition not dey for doubt after weekend talk between some of their members and opposition group as they want form one new government when they say it will comot Mahathir anointed successor Anwar Ibrahim. The two of them join hands to win the 2018 election and come comot the long-running United Malays National Organization UNNO for one alliance based on one promise say Mahathir will give up the power to Anwar. Afghanistan on Monday don see their first case of coronavirus for the country as case OMC the report for outside China don't go up. Ferozuddin Feroz, OMC be the Minister of Public Health, he tell one press conference inside Kabul say they don't confirm one of the 3 suspected cases for the western province of Herat. He announced one state of emergency for the province when say the border of Iran when say they don't take confirmed dozens of cases of disease and 8 people don't die. When say make them the highest for people when say they don't die outside of China, where the disease come from. Dr. Saeed Atullah Sarizai, when we say be Oga of the Disease Surveillance Department for the Ministry of Public Health, he talk on Sunday say the 3 suspected patients inside Herat just come from Iran. And because of the suspected cases and the news of the virus when we say on the waka inside Iran, Afghanistan also suspend all their air and land movement to and from Iran for the weekend. All right, the next one, now our business news. And for business, they say the Central Bank of Nigeria say they never say may they not use foreign money as deposit for banks. For one statement on Sunday, the Oga of Corporate Communications, CBN, Isaac Okorafor, he shook mouth for the matter when say concerning one of the operation of one domiciliary account for Nigeria. He said the bank no stop to take foreign money as deposit for deposit of money banks, and he said now only electronic fund transfer they fit do enter the domiciliary account and they fit transfer am for that kind of account. Why we say cash deposit for that kind of account, now they go fit withdraw from the cash too. Okorafor come tell the stakeholders and other people when we say they get mind to that kind of waka, make they always ask for clarification for the matter, make it for no cause any wahala for financial system. One before Oga of the Budgetary Department, Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Dr. Titus Okoromo, he don sama better and give the federal government make they use all wetin they get for mechanized farming to check the rising inflation rate for the country. Okoromo sama the better for one interview inside Ota, Ogun State on Sunday. And the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, on Monday talk the inflation rate when we say come out from 11.98% for December, go 12.13% for January. The financial sabi people say need deal for the federal government to put body for the mechanized farming so that they fit to reduce the plenty rise for the inflation rate inside the country. The Nigeria economy depend on plenty rain to plant their crops, and they make the price of goods to dey cheap for this period. They say for the dry season, price of goods they go up because no rain dey to plant, and this one the ginger rise for the nation inflation rate. All right, still ahead on the top plus of African news. Now a roundup for entertainment and sport with the show back. On to entertainment, Pop Smoke, a loved one, so one do one remembrance of the late rapper this weekend. As reported day, they say the private jam body go happen this Sunday, March 1st, for a native Brooklyn. As person when they say no the Tory take yan, he say Pop Smoke, a family, they take care of some final formal business and they go take a body go back to New York soon, where say they go take do the prayer and grief service. Pop Smoke died for after some marksmen shoot him for in Los Angeles house on Wednesday, February 19, 2020. They go carry him go the Cedars Sinai Medical Center where we say that they say he don't die. All right, that one for entertainment. The next one, now for sports. And on to sport, the Tyson Fury promoter Frank Warren does say Deontay Wilder can't fit to invoke their matter to stage one third fight between their two after their draw on top their first fight for December 2018. Fury dominate Wilder on Saturday night inside Las Vegas with the American corner when say throw the towel for the 7th round. That one don't bring rumors say Fury go fight Anthony Joshua for one world heavyweight unification fight. But Wilder not get option of another rematch. Wilder and his team get 30 days to talk if they go join for the Ubunge fight. And Saturday fall in hand. Now Wilder first match when be say they don't win am. As Fury when be say they never beat before, beat and well for inside the ring. Let's say they go suspend Real Madrid the youngster Rodrigo because of Sunday Clasico with Barcelona after they pursue and come out from the game because it provoked one opposition goalkeeper because of one goal for Real B team. This one they come as additional frustration for Zinedine Zidane when we say they lied for the attacking opposition option for inside the top of the table clash after Eden Hazard injury. Rodrigo is scored one goal for Real Castilla team for 1/3 tie fixture against SS Reyes. The Reyes keeper not take am easy and they can go meet Rodrigo as he waka go back enter the pitch. For that point, the 19-year-old they can start to groove for the keeper face. When say make them give him the second yellow card, come pursue him. They not punish the keeper as he provoke. Alright, now for you go back break on top this 0 o'clock for news on the hour for Plus TV Africa. For better and plenty information, you follow us at Plus TV Africa for Facebook, for Twitter, and for Instagram. And it will make better sense when I subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We will say the same and plenty of that to read them as time to go. My name, I promise, Nero. And I thank on our website that they join us. Well done.
Regulation exists to protect workers, public safety, businesses and investments.
I feel there's a lot of power and influence that the SMEs have.
I say this with every sense of respect. Most of the people making policies for us as a nation have never run a business before.
We need to find a way to create jobs. It's almost turning into an epidemic.
We need to have a holistic strategy towards dealing with growing that sector.
We need to go back to the farm, it's fine. But then we need to invest in productivity. We can't be farming the same way we were doing in 1982
Exactly.
2020.
There's a very robust ecosystem around agribusiness now. But what has happened is there are not enough people, right, who understand how they can take advantage of those opportunities.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Close to 800,000 persons die by suicide every year. Now that's according to statistics from the World Health Organization. More statistics reveal that every 40 seconds, at least one person is likely to die by suicide. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among 15 to 29-year-olds globally. When Nigerians crossed over to the new year in 2019, it was all prayers to God and excitement. Little did the nation anticipate the reign of multiple suicides that would soon ravage it. January 2nd, 2019 was greeted with the first case of suicide. DJ XG, the popular Lagos DJ who took his own life allegedly over marital troubles just a few hours after posting a sad suicide note on his Instagram account. Then to Ms. Hikmat Badamosi, a 100-level student of the University of Port Harcourt. And that statistics continued to swell with a first-class student of yet another Nigerian university, the 21-year-old Akachi Chukwuemeka, who took his own life after dropping a suicide note on his Facebook page. This suicide takes me all the way to the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, where his friends and classmates speak about his last moments.
Akashi was dealing with depression long before he came out as an atheist. So, if anything, the depression had left a footprint. And like I said earlier, you can find it reflected in his writing, which is what a lot of people should do.
Akachi's life is kind of complicated, sort of, because I've always known him right from year one as this type of person who is reticent. He's kind of a lonely being, let me put it that way. He usually like being on his own, kind of. So most times, even earlier that day we met, I noticed his mood, kind of. I even asked him basically, Akachi, what's your problem? I've asked him several times, what's your problem? He always tell me, Chris, you won't understand.
I meet Victor, Akachi's closest friend and course mate. He is very emotional as he speaks with me. He deeply regrets his friend's decision to commit suicide.
I never expected something like this to happen. It was a shock. It's so sad that he had to end his life at the ending while we were just about graduating, but I don't still understand it. And concerning the circumstances of his suicide, I personally know the struggles he went through.
From my findings, the pain of suicide is only passed on to the family and loved ones of the suicide victim, as Ifani, Akachi's friend, tells me.
The Monday he died, the Monday morning, I saw him last. We greeted and we talked. The news I got around 8 a.m. was that he was in the hospital. So I had to rush to the medical center. I saw him in a really bad situation. Getting to around 8 p.m. in the night, I got the news that he passed on. The major issue there is the reputation, should I say bad reputation in quote, that he left behind, because, for instance, someone would just walk up to you that he's a close friend. Why do you let him do it? And someone might almost think that, okay, since you guys are close, you must know what happened to him, or you participated in making him commit suicide. So the stigma and then the loneliness that your friend is gone.
Just a few kilometers away from the campus, I meet this clergyman who is using his church to reach out to more depressed students. He complains to me that most Nigerian universities do not have the structure to help suicidal students.
Talking about suicide among students, I have come to see that there are 3 factors implicated. Some cases are absolutely mental. The student loses mental coordination and he wants to kill himself. Others are emotional. The student is battling with failure, battling with heartbreak in relationship, battling with one thing or the other, sometimes even parental pressure. And he breaks down emotionally, he's depressed, and he wants to kill himself. But others are absolutely demonic manipulations. The case of Akachi that happened last week, I believe, is one glaring example of demonic manipulation. We live in a very harsh situation in the country now. There is poverty, there is joblessness, and it's not even good enough reason for someone to kill himself. It's not. That is why even those of them who go to school should understand that school is not just about passing exam. School is about being enlightened. So you're able to understand situations of life and how to bring them under your control. That's what education should give to anybody. And besides this intellectual enlightenment, there should be emotional education. Maybe the university should think about introducing a course like emotional intelligence as one of the general courses.
He came all the way to this secluded building to take some bottles of Sniper. As at this time last Monday, Akachi was actually battling for his life, a battle that he lost. Akachi's case is one case too many of increasing suicide attempts across Nigeria. The Department of English and Literary Studies of the University of Nigeria. This used to be the classroom of Akachi Chukwemeka, who had actually committed suicide on May 10th. The last time Mr. Akachi was in this class was on May 10th, his last moments, according to information that I gathered. Well, this used to be one of his favorite sports in this class, where he shared beautiful moments with classmates and friends. According to information that I've gathered from the head of department here, Akachi was actually one of the brightest students of the department, and he was in a first-class grade.
Akachi was a good student, very studious, and he was also a student of mine, all black literature. And to be honest with you, I never had an inkling that there was any trouble with him.
Only a few days after, another devastating news breaks about yet another suicide case. This time, a church worker, a music minister allegedly from the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Michael Orowoshaye, in Abuja. Now, this leads me to the streets of Lagos, where I ask the question, why would someone want to take their life?
I just read recently of the Jambites who failed jam the second time and they went to commit suicide, and that was crazy.
I'm not God. Even God said that created everybody knows that we are one way or the other going to fall short of his glory. So why do I want to commit suicide?
I think the guy that committed suicide has low self-esteem. Suicide is not the best way out. I have a purpose on this earth, so I can't waste it by committing suicide.
These answers lead me to a mega church where I ask this clergyman one question. What does religion say about suicide?
The spirits responsible for suicide are wicked spirits. We've got to understand that this physical world is controlled by the spiritual. Paul said, we don't wrestle with flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers, wicked spirits in high places.
And seeing that Islam is one of the two major religions in Nigeria, I am here at the Lekki Central Mosque in Lagos to ask the same question. Is there a spiritual side to suicide? And if there is, what is it?
As a Muslim cleric, I think suicide is demonic. It is against the law of God, against the law of Allah.
We never commit suicide. A Muslim must never commit suicide, must never even contemplate it.
The life that you did not create, why would you want to take it?
Religion has given us its side. Now we speak to the experts. Dr. Maimuna is a psychologist. She tells people to stop blaming suicide victims.
Sometimes when people just sit down and just make statements like those that have attempted suicide, those that have killed themselves, that they are worthless, they are sinners. No, you shouldn't say such a thing. We as a society, we should begin to build a culture of compassion where we show empathy to people, listen to people not judgmentally, to understand them from their point of view rather than just to respond to them.
She says with love and support, along with professional help, depression and suicide can be overcome.
Send them to professionals where they can be properly evaluated, assessed, know the root cause of why they are even suicidal. Suicide is an end thing. It's a bigger picture, but you need to know what this person is even suicidal. And of course, if it's depression, depression is treatable. If it is pain, is it the kind of pain that can be managed? There are painkillers, there are even surgeries to even regulate pain, and there are even non-medication treatment for some of these illnesses. Meditation, yoga, some form of exercises and all that. So it's very key that we put all this on board. Let's not demonize people that have completed suicide. Let's not see them as bad people. Let's not see them as evil people, because anybody can be suicidal depending on your challenges, what you face, and of course from your past experiences.
Oftentimes, when we speak of people attempting to take their lives, it seems vague, with very few sharing their stories. I spoke with Fumi, who had tried to take her life a few years ago. From her account, we understand the link between depression and suicide.
I was under a lot of pressure. Then it was marital pressure. I was just under a lot of pressure from, family, from in-laws, from my ex-husband at the time. Just, hearing so much, it was almost like the pressure of the marriage was on me, like, oh, I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't doing well. I just felt not only was I feeling like I wasn't doing well, I felt like I couldn't do anything to change, the situation, or to turn things around, or to just, so I just had this heavy burden, upon me, and that's when I just started feeling depressed. Of course, at the time, I don't think I knew that I was depressed. I didn't know I was depressed until the time I tried to take my life. I was just very, very, I was just very sad.
According to more research, depression is one of the leading causes of suicide world over.
Depression is a mood disorder characterized by low mood. So it has to do with the mood. But what affects the mood has to do with your mental state. How you are mentally, then affects the mood. Probably what you're going through, how things are not working out fine, the issues, the challenges that you're facing affects you mentally, then it basically affects your mood. You're not happy, you're feeling down, you're sad, you're indoor, you're secluded.
Depression itself is a clinical diagnosis. You cannot just say I'm depressed because you're broke or someone jilted you or something didn't go the way you plan it.
But what are the symptoms of depression?
If depression, sadness or low mood, you are experiencing this on a near daily experience for at least 2 weeks, coupled with this second sign that I'm about to mention, loss of interest in what you used to find interesting, loss of interest in what you used to find pleasant, or you're beginning to feel you're apathic. There is no interest, there's no excitement about any activity you used to find interesting before. These two, when they are present on a near daily experience for at least 2 weeks, and they're beginning to affect your ability to relate with people, to work productively. And there are 3 other symptoms and signs among these remaining 7 we call classical symptoms and signs of depression, like a change in your appetite. It could be appetite for food reduction or increase. It could be appetite for sex for married ones, reduced or increase. There's a struggle with maintaining concentration or attention or focus or sustaining focus. That's another classical symptom and sign. If there is a problem with fatigue, with energy level, so you cannot explain where this fatigue is coming from. You cannot explain it, or you are extra energetic, you are restless. Then there are other physical symptoms, especially in men. Depression can manifest as physical symptom in men. If a man is beginning to visit a doctor, visit a clinic repeatedly, this week treated for malaria, next month treated for typhoid and malaria, and is becoming a repetitive stuff, it can be a pointer to depression. Another classical physical symptom is sleep alteration. You're struggling to initiate sleep, or you might even find it easy to initiate sleep, but you are waking up intermittently, or you even sleep all through normally, but when you wake up, fatigue is there, you don't feel refreshed. That's another classical sign of depression. Then a chronic feeling of guilt, hopelessness, or regret can also be a pointer to depression. Then another common one in our society is what we call social withdrawal. In fact, I should have mentioned this as number 3. Social withdrawal or isolation. You could begin to withdraw yourself from social media, Facebook, Instagram, and the likes, or even religious activities that you belong to, or social clubs that you belong to, or even your siblings or family members. That could be a pointer. If you see anybody, observe this in anybody, that could be a pointer to depression. Then lastly, suicidal ideation. And I need to explain this because it's quite peculiar with Africans. Because of religious indoctrination or religious restraint, some people might not have it well thought out to end it all. But when someone begins to tell you in any conversation, they are quick to say, I just want to escape from everything and just be alone somewhere. It could be a pointer. Or there's a news about a collapse of building. And the person is saying, what's the big deal about collapse of building? Even where we are now, if the building collapses, what's the big deal? We end it up, we go over and we go and rest. That could be a pointer. The religious folks can sound like this. I just want rapture to happen. Let's just go. Let Jesus come and let's end it up. If it's becoming repetitive like that, it could be a pointer. So these are the 9 symptoms and signs of depression, but with the first 2 that I mentioned must be present with 3 other ones, making 5. When they are present on a near daily experience for at least 2 weeks, and they're beginning to affect the productive living or relationability of that person, something has shifted in the brain, both chemically or structurally. The diagnosis of depression is made. And at that point, the person needs professional help. There's this tendency in Africa, because mental health issues cannot really be grasped with physical descriptions of physical ailments. They are quite abstract. We tend to just adduce everything to spiritual under the balance of religious doctrination. Because I hear people say to the people battling depression, have a firm grip on your mind. Come on, are you not a child of faith? Are you not a prayer warrior? And my question to those people is this: if a woman has breast cancer, do you say to the woman, have a firm grip on your breast? You are a child of faith. Or you encourage the person to seek help. If a man is battling prostate cancer, do you say to the man, come on, you're a prayer warrior, have a firm grip on your prostate? You know why? Because those ones are physical. You can rightly see the symptoms and signs physically. But because this is psychological, it's quite abstract. Pray with the person, quite all right, but refer them for professional help.
And how can you know that your family or friend is depressed?
A lot of depression cases will be caught early if the people around are able to spot it early enough and able to get the right information and referral to the right places. Because these things will manifest subtly. Because it's a progression. It doesn't just happen suddenly. It manifests subtly, but people cannot pick it.
What remedies are there for depression and suicidal thoughts?
Globally, we're advocating now that all organizations should have 1 or 2 people in their human resources department or human capacity development that are trained in mental health first aid, so that they can deploy this model. ALGE model, ALGEE, A representing assurance. You can only assure someone when you are aware of the signs and symptoms. So if you don't know how to spot the signs and symptoms, how do you even start assuring? You will start misreading the behavior. There are ways people that are already sinking into depression behave. If care is not taken, you will misread it or misinterpret it as being snobbish. You will misinterpret it as being unkind or as being lazy or as being a man or woman of weak faith or not prayerful enough. So awareness is key. Awareness and assurance, that's the A. Being able to assure them that it's something, it's just a mental health issue. You're passing through so condition now. It could be triggered by stress. It could be triggered by a trauma, but you can get out of it. Now, L is listening non-judgmentally. You must know how to communicate with people battling depression. The problem with us, especially Africans, is that we are quick to conclude and condemn. And that's not love. Listen non-judgmentally. In fact, limit your talking and do more of listening. And when you're listening, you are not trying to judge them as being weak, not mentally strong, not prayerful, not strong in faith, or this and that. You must be able to listen non-judgmentally to them. By the time you are repeatedly saying, aren't you a man of faith? Aren't you prayerful enough? You are judging because you are concluding it's lack of prayer that led the person into depression. And you're further sinking the person into depression. I see a lot of comments on social media when somebody says I'm depressed, even though I'm always quick to say that a lot of people that claim they are depressed, they are not depressed, they are just sad because they are broke or they just got heartbroken. There's a difference. You will get out of it if you know what to do because it's natural to be sad. However, depression is different. But I see a lot of people commenting when people say that I'm depressed. They say, is it only you that you are depressed? All of us are depressed. As long as you are in this country, you cannot run away, this and that. But that's not the right way to go. Listen non-judgmentally. Just the awareness that you are present in their life is enough strength for them to even pull through to a large extent. Then next one is G, which is giving support. Giving support and information. So a lot of people, we have more people that are unaware of these signs and symptoms and what to do than people that are aware. So that your friend, that your colleague might not even be aware that this is depression I'm battling. That's where I'm low in mood. That's where I'm withdrawing. Might not even be aware. Just you giving information that, have you considered researching or checking on a doctor concerning these symptoms you're feeling? Because I think I've experienced it before. I've read about it that when you're having this, when you're having that, it could be depression, and it's better caught early. It's better managed early. That's giving the right information. The fourth under the model, which is E, is encouragement. Encouragement. And when we say encouragement, it's encouragement with tips. There are basic tips that everybody should be equipped with. As simple as nutrition change, diet change. Because your food controls your mood. These are things we need to create more awareness about. As simple as how to be in charge of your thoughts, how to be in charge of your self-talks, how to reframe from negative thinking to positive thinking. Encouraging people is quite key, and the people around must be able to do this. It will go a long way in preventing suicide and also curtailing the progression of depression. Then the last E, which is essentially about ensuring that you follow up on the person gets the professional help. It's not enough to refer the person or give information that you need to see a doctor, you need to see a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist. It's not enough. You must be able to ensure that the person gets that help, seeks that professional help, follow up. What are the obstacles? It could be fear of financial implication. Could it be stigma in the society that they will see me going to see a shrink? You must ensure that you are able to help them follow up, to seek help, see the professional help, and if there's any obstacle, you help them to remove it, or you ensure you support them in removing. That's why we say that social support is as important as psychiatry and psychotherapy. Family, friends, colleague, workplace, the support they give is as important as the medications. By now, because of the crisis we are having, I dare call it crisis, mental health crisis in Nigeria, I believe every religious body should have a counseling center. And religious bodies have a lot of role to play. We're not relegating their responsibility or their role or their usefulness, but we're saying they should do informed religious help. While they're praying, while they're helping them support, why not try to have counseling centers? Why not try to have counseling center? It doesn't cost much, so that it is served as a mental health facility. So churches and mosques should rise up to this responsibility. Why government is doing theirs and we are advocating for government to do more, churches and mosques must rise up, because, see, we cannot divorce our societal culture from religion. We are highly religious. A lot of Nigerians will obey their pastors or imams before they obey their parents, before they obey doctors.
According to experts, with more awareness and a lot of effort, depression and suicide can be overcome.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. No question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, no.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild.
This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
February 15 is Single Awareness Day.
I'm very sorry for stealing their day. I apologize, all the singles.
Federal government announcing that 36 million reward for any scientist who finds cure for coronavirus.
When I saw this story, first thing I did was roll my eyes. The second thing I did was, why is it corona that you are placing 36? What have you done for Lassa fever? That is right here. Our confidence from how we treated Ebola would impact how we would plan for this. So I kept looking. So when I saw this story, I thought, okay, thank God.
We just hope that they actually mean it and it's not a soundbite.
The only time they will mean it is when it's at their doorstep.
Please let it not get to their doorstep, because their doorstep is my doorstep. Please, coronavirus, please, can you just stay back? Thank you.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
Many thanks for joining us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. Here are the stories making the headlines, and I am Amaka Okoye. President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned Boko Haram attack on Garkida in Adamawa State and extended his sympathy to families of the victims. In a statement by his spokesman Malam Garba Shehu in Abuja on Sunday, the president said that no part of Nigeria would be abandoned to their fate. He said, and I quote, "These attacks on soft targets by the terrorists are obvious signs of frustration because my administration has significantly weakened Boko Haram's military capability to invade and hold Nigerian territory unchallenged." According to him, since the inception of his administration, Boko Haram's ability to invade and occupy Nigerian territories had been frustrated. Buhari assured that in the coming weeks, Nigerians would witness an aggressive campaign to defeat Boko Haram once and for all. Now, former Nigeria head of state and national chairman of Nigeria Praise, General Yakubu Gowon, retired on Sunday, led the group in a prayer rally for peace to reign in the Northeast Zone and Nigeria at large. Speaking during the one-day prayer rally organized by Nigeria Praise, Northeast Zone held in Bauchi with the theme, "The Lord of Hosts is with us." Gowon said the purpose of the prayer rally was to fervently intercede for the country, most especially in these troubling times. He said the group from all the Northeastern Zone gathered in Bauchi in absolute submission to God in order to pray for God's mercies and blessings on Nigeria. According to him, this is to appease the political, social, and economic well-being of Bauchi State and the entire Northeast Zone as they grapple with the issues of terrorism, insurgencies, and various kinds of insecurity and criminality. Meanwhile, a former Director, Legal and Public Affairs of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Samuel Kamkur, has expressed concern over the silence of the federal government towards the threat on President Muhammadu Buhari by the Boko Haram commander Abubakar Shekau. The threat was also issued to the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Isa Ibrahim Pantami. Kamkur expressed this worry in an interview before the expiration of his tenure on Friday. He said, "It is truly sad but not surprising that the Boko Haram commander Abubakar Shekau will release a video threatening to attack the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, and the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Isa Ibrahim Pantami." The Director General of the Progressives Governors Forum, Salihi Lukman, in a memo addressed to the Chief BC Akonde-led All Progressives Congress National Reconciliation Committee, has pointed at the APC National Chairman Adams Oshomole as the source of the party's woes. According to the document sent to reporters in Abuja on Sunday, the PGFDG noted that when the APC came on board, it successfully minimized the problem of imposition of candidates, at least for the 2015 elections. He noted that it was sad that soon afterwards, old habits began to rear heads. Lukman said, and I quote, "Inability to resolve problems associated with management of 2015 elections had been compounded with more problems from 2019 elections. In fact, multiplicity of these problems has made us to lose elections in Adamawa, Bauchi, Oyo, Sokoto, and Zamfara states." Now, Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki on Sunday said courtesy demanded that All Progressives Congress National Chairman Adams Oshomole should notify him whenever he intended to visit home. The former governor, who was in Benin at the weekend for a funeral, was booed at the airport by youths. His convoy was pelted with water sachet as security barred the youths from getting close. It was gathered that the barricade was to prevent any political meetings from holding in the house. Obaseki, who addressed reporters about the airport incident, said Oshomole should have informed the state government of his visit. Earlier on, Plus TV Africa spoke with Edo State APC Chairman Asnem Ojezwa to weigh in on this matter. Edo State has been in the news for almost all the wrong reasons, for lack of a better word. What do you make of these arguments between Oshomole and Obaseki and the people of Edo State?
Well, it's a very unfortunate situation that we have found ourselves. And the only comment one can make at this point is that the whole thing has been so poorly mismanaged. And what you see now is the result of arrogance, impunity, and perhaps an inflated ego of those concerned.
Both sides have accused each other of using thugs to, attack or disrupt activities. Sometimes it comes from this end and the other end. Now, the question generally is, how do we get to a point where, politics in Nigeria, not just Edo State, but generally speaking, would be devoid of the use of thugs?
Well, it has become a norm. Just look around you. Unfortunately, you have to understand that not every crowd of people who come to express themselves should be referred to as thugs. There are people who have very strong feelings about any issue. They reserve the right to come out and speak. It is their conduct that will determine whether they should be referred to as thugs or not. So I think you need to make that distinction. People have a right to express themselves. Sometimes they don't even have to be organized by anybody. If they feel strongly on any issue, they will come out and say so. So this has been very typical of Edo State right from 2008 to date.
Ideally, you want to see a collaboration between leaders, and those who have served the people in almost the same capacity. Now we're talking about, Oshomole at some point as the governor of the state, and Obaseki, who's currently the governor of that state. Why are we not seeing this collaboration between these two?
Well, I think clearly those who should provide leadership have actually joined the fray, and now we are looking for people from outside the state to arbitrate. Unfortunately, I just have to put this on the doorstep of Oshomole because he was the undisputed leader. Now he is supervising the dismemberment and the instability of the party in the state when he should be the one putting everybody together. So he has to take responsibility. It's just a pity that it has degenerated to this level. Unfortunately, I also have to say that the leadership at the national level left it a bit too late. This situation should not have been allowed to fester to this point. If they had nipped it in the bud, we probably would have gotten a better result.
Now
Let me also add that when Oshomole was governor for 8 years, he was not a perfect person. Those who did not support him at least tolerated him. Why can he not extend the same level of understanding with his successor who he helped to get into office? Why would he want to destroy that by which he himself benefited? These are the issues, and it's really unfortunate.
We understand that there are two factions of the APC in Edo State. Which one is the authentic one, so to speak? Which one do we recognize as the authentic one, for lack of a better word?
Of course, there is no faction. I am the state chairman of APC in Edo State. I went for Congress. What you see there, the pretenders you see claiming to be another faction, is a creation of Oshomole. So he is the one who will answer your question. He foisted this situation on us. APC in Edo State is intact. Majority of the state executive members are with me. Majority of the local government chairmen, 15 out of 18, are with me. Majority of the state working committee, they are with me. Oshomole is playing God. It is only the Almighty God that will say one with God is majority, not one with Oshomole. He is using a miserable lot to come and create instability in Edo State. And I can tell you that he will get the result in full measure. He cannot avoid responsibility.
All right, having said that, now what is the way forward in terms of achieving peace for both the people and, these leaders who should be leading by example, as you agree?
The way forward is for Oshomole to allow Obaseki to do his job. If you look at all they have said throughout this period, not one of them has said Obaseki is not performing as a governor. Nobody has complained that the citizens of Edo State are not happy with Obaseki. So what is the problem? That he's not sharing the patrimony to individuals to satisfy their greed. But it's this same Oshomole who told us that the resources of state is enough to meet the need of the people, but not the greed of the leaders. Should Obaseki continue to service the leaders at the expense of the people of Edo State? This is the issue. So the way forward is for Oshomole to allow Obaseki to do his job. He has a job at the national level. Let him concentrate on his job.
All right, thank you so very much, Mr. Ojezwa, for sharing your thoughts with us. Still on national matters, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP and 192 concerned Nigerians have filed a lawsuit asking the Federal High Court in Abuja to restrain and stop Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila and all members of the House from spending an estimated 5.04 billion naira to buy 400 exotic cars for principal officers and members. SERAP is also seeking a court order to restrain and stop the National Assembly Service Commission from releasing any public funds to the House of Representatives to buy 400 Toyota Camry 2020 model cars estimated to cost $35,130 each until an impact assessment of the spending on access to public services and goods like education, security, health and clean water is carried out. On 5th February, the House of Reps passed a resolution that 400 Toyota Camry 2020 model cars be purchased as official vehicles for 360 members and other persons, including top management staff, chief of staff to the 2 presiding officers, as well as some of their special advisors and assistants. In a statement on Sunday by Kolawole, who is also Deputy Director of SERAP, the plaintiffs also maintained that it is illegal and unconstitutional for members of the House of Representatives to choose to buy expensive and exotic cars while encouraging Nigerians to tighten their belts and to patronize Nigerian brands. Now, Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, LASMA, has admonished public transport drivers, popularly known as Danfo, and other motorists in the state to adopt a change of attitude, warning that the authority will no longer be merciful to traffic law violators. The General Manager of LASMA, Olajide Oduyoye, gave the warning during one of Plus TV Africa's program, Ways, over the weekend.
How do we ensure that Danfo drivers actually obey the laws of the road and at the same time obey LASMA?
It's for the governor to say tonight and sack all of them tonight. I'm saying that with all sense of responsibility because these guys are not part of us. These guys are wearing a different kind of mantle. And that is why it's unfortunate that a lot of motorists, good citizens, see LASMA officers appearing to just let them be. That's because they have killed too many of our officers.
Wow.
These guys don't care. These guys have signed off. They don't particularly see, in my opinion, any future in the system. So whatever it is they're doing it for daily bread. And they don't care. They really do not care.
So there is no hope, or there is no way that...
No, the hope is twofold. For the government to make a pronouncement, but for the pronouncement to be accepted by the masses. Because you can say a lot of things from the government side, but if the people who are supposed to benefit from it retrospectively, they are the ones against it because they're thinking about so you've banned Kekemawa, you've banned whatever, so you're not banned Danfo.
That would be...
Do you understand what I'm saying? There are lots of passengers in Danfo that hurt the drivers to do some of the things that they do because they're thinking, I want to get them first. They enjoy the negativity. And when a LASMA officer wants to go there, they begin to abuse him. Or if there's an elderly woman in there, she comes out, you have parents at home, she comes out of the vehicle, she starts to kneel down on the road. So you could just let them be. Some people have accused and said, it's because LASMA officers have Danfo as well. But there's no law that says I cannot have Danfo.
And the LASMA manager also added that the Lagos State government has deployed cameras across the state to track traffic law offenders.
No, some cameras are there, and it's developing, so more cameras are coming on. And I don't know if you've noticed, some people are even getting penalty charge notice on their phones from when they've registered. Yes, when they've registered properly. Because even a lot of us, as citizens of Lagos, they tell you to come and register your vehicle. You choose not to register into your address. You go and register on the 14th floor of a 37th floor building, all right, with 500 companies that is there. You go and register your vehicle there because nobody is forcing you or coming to check So some things about the law needs to change. A lot of us are waiting to bypass legality deliberately because we're anticipating we're going to offend. So now even the camera catches you, but I don't know where your number is. In fact, you have 3 cars, you start changing number, fake number. If we begin to search all of us, even at this table, I don't even know who is who on this table too. No, it's true. Let everybody
We
go.
are law-abiding citizens.
Let everybody go and check. So the cameras are there more. And then in terms of LASMA, the way we're going forward by this year, you're going to find a complete difference between whether we accost vehicles that have offended on the road, because we're introducing technology in terms of like officers will not go around with a gadget. Number one, to show the officers on TT, and then you capture the incidents, you capture the violation. You can do a still picture, you can do a video picture. It goes into a back-end system. As long as, because it captures the plate number and incidents, you send them a ticket and they go and see the magistrate. And if you don't, you get sent a fine. If you don't pay the fine, no problem. We'll be waiting for you. Anywhere we find you, we'll go and grab the car from where it is, right? We impound the vehicle, you come and pay. If you don't pay and you manage to dodge and you move from Lagos, you go to Oshogbo, you go to Maiduguri, wherever you want to go, the day you want to renew your particulars and document, we'll be waiting for you.
Wow.
So things are likely to change in terms of how we behave. And people will be thinking, okay, LASMA, you can't catch me, whatever. But I'm just going to stand in one corner. I'm just going to be capturing you. And I'm targeting all those Range Rover drivers, the Land Cruisers, all those people that think that they're big people. I'm targeting them.
All right, there you have it. And still on national matters, tobacco control advocates have called for a more effective implementation of available tobacco control policies nationwide. They say government must take advantage of the benefits of tobacco control, increase internally generated revenue, and protect citizens from the effects of tobacco use. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, reports.
Available data says over 3.5 million persons have lost their lives to tobacco use in the past. Data further suggests that over 16,000 persons die yearly from tobacco use. Despite efforts to curb this growing trend, about 25,000 children aged between 10 to 14 years and another 7.4 million adults implementation process.
There are a lot of researches, data to show that countries lose a lot in terms of what you spend on health related to tobacco use, and that tobacco control in itself brings a lot of economic benefit. So we expect that our nation is going to gain tremendously from this particular law.
When you have tobacco control policies effectively implemented, everyone is protected, so that because of course you know about the harms of tobacco, and it's not just the smoker who suffers diseases. All of us are at risk. So the effects of secondhand smoke. So when tobacco control policies are effectively implemented, everyone is protected and the whole country is healthy. And when everybody is healthy, then people can go about their business without having to go into hospitals and spend the little money that they have to cure diseases.
They say government must work toward providing adequate funds for the war against tobacco. They also want Nigeria's federal government to institute a committee that will work towards raising funds for an expensive anti-tobacco use campaign.
The Honorable